moderate to severe ulcerative colitis symptoms kept me out of the picture. Skyrizi helps deliver symptom relief in only 4 weeks and helps deliver visible colon lining repair and remission.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for UC.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi.
Confusing collection of information with creating. That's not creating. Perfectionism is going to kill you, man.
Small YouTubers are staying small because their 30 minutes a day or 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day is just going to overconsumption of information and not doing.
Count uploads, not likes. Count uploads, not views. Because if you base your success on how the algorithm feels about you that day, I mean, you're giving up control of how you feel to a machine. We are living in a world now where information isn't just abundant, but AI is coming. It's how you package that information and connect with the person who's consuming it. And to me, storytelling is going to be the number one skill that everybody, not just YouTubers, but just people.
So you've probably seen that there's a lot of content out there about how to start and grow on YouTube. But in today's world, everything has changed. There's more information coming at us than ever before. There's more confusion and overwhelm that creators are feeling. Some people are plateaued and their views are down. And those that want to start channels, they really need a new approach. And so in this video, we're going to be learning from an expert who's built multiple successful YouTube channels, has succeeded with long form and shorts, has made a ton of mistakes, and we can learn from those mistakes and how we don't have to make the same mistakes ourselves. And going to be talking about basically public enemy number one that is holding creators back. And so in today's episode, I'm talking with Pat Flynn, who is the founder of Smart Passive Income and also has a huge Pokemon channel, has started multiple different channels around that, and has learned so many lessons that he's going to share with us today. Pat Flynn, welcome back to the podcast.
What's up, Sean? Thanks for having me back.
So give us a quick rundown. What all YouTube stuff do you have going that you're active in, that you've done in the past? Like how many channels?
3 active channels. We have SPI, which you and I have spoken about before. Actually 4. One of them is a Switch Pod, which you've also interviewed me for a while back, but that's kind of on autopilot right now, which is cool. Then Deep Pocket Monster, which is the long form deep Pokemon channel. We are at 1.54 million subscribers in about 4 years, which is insane. And then more recently, I started a shorts channel separately as an experiment, mostly just to see if I could unlock the algorithm there. And I was able to. We are at 2 billion views and over 1.3 million subscribers on YouTube, 1.4 million subscribers on TikTok, almost at 1 million on Instagram from a video that takes me 15 minutes a day to create. And I found a formula that works. We're probably going to get into it, I'm sure, but it's called Short Pocket Monster. Or if you've heard the jingle, should I open it or should I keep it sealed? Those are my videos.
Man, I love it. So that just kind of lays the foundation that you really know what you're talking about. You've learned a lot of success principles, made mistakes we can learn from. And before we get into really one of the biggest things that is holding creators back right now on YouTube, I want to just do kind of a quick lightning round. First question, what's the first thing a new YouTuber should do before even turning on the camera?
Make sure the mic is working too. I've made that mistake before. Anyway, for real though, get involved in the community. Like know who it is that you're serving, watch other videos in the space, read the comments, see what people like, see what people dislike. When I joined the Pokemon community in 2021, which by the way, I didn't know anything about Pokemon beforehand. Before I started recording anything, I just started getting involved and learning and listening. I was a moderator for a number of channels over there, just really immersing myself in the space so that I could find out what was missing. And I think that's really important so that when you start creating and hitting publish, you're bringing something new or at least hypothesizing on what's new. And then from there, it's about reps. Count uploads, not likes. Count uploads, not views. That quantity is actually really key to get your wheels going, to get you comfortable, and just to kind of figure out what works and what doesn't. And if you just are so worried about perfection, you're never going to learn.
One of the things that holds creators back is kind of fear of the gear or tech, the camera gear, and overwhelm with that. What's actually one technical skill that most new creators struggle with that's actually pretty easy to learn, and how would you go about that?
I mean, I think it's storytelling. I mean, that's not quote unquote technical, but there is a YouTube channel called Brady Brandwood who got famous because he bought a lobster from the grocery store and raised it as a pet. Leon the Lobster, if you've ever heard of that. Rest in peace, by the way, because Leon just passed away. And there were millions of views on this video about a lobster who had passed away because he had built this relationship over time with his viewers. He just films on an iPhone. The story is locked in. Can I actually raise a grocery store lobster as a pet? And that first video that came out in, I don't know, 2019 or so, had like 20 million views. Whereas all of his other videos were just kind of random, but it was the story that made people curious, and then the ongoing story that kept people watching. So if I could pass any skill to any YouTuber right now, that would unlock not just fun, but also just, more retention, more click-through rates. It's how can you tell a story? Tell a story through the title and thumbnail, tell a story in your videos to retain people, which of course, if you help people stick around on YouTube and retain people till the end, YouTube's gonna help you by pushing that video out.
If someone has just 30 minutes a day to start and grow their YouTube channel, what should they focus on?
30 minutes a day. So let's go, I wouldn't film a video on day one. I would plan out a video starting with title and thumbnail, nail that on day one. 30 minutes on Monday, nail that title, and maybe the second day, Tuesday, is thumbnail. Then that informs what your hook is going to be, because you have this promise based on the title thumbnail, and that's going to be Wednesday, working on the hook and scripting out your video, outlining it. Thursday is, I'm going to say, film day, and Friday and maybe into the next week is going to be editing, and then you just kind of rinse and repeat that cycle as much as possible. And again, the more you do it, the faster you will get. On my shorts channel, it used to take me 45 minutes to make these daily shorts that I do. Now it's 13 to 15 minutes per day because I've done it so often. I have the templates and the procedures, and it's just like second nature now.
Would you folks start with shorts or long form if you were a new creator?
That's the money question, right? I feel like it depends on your style and the kinds of stories you want to tell. It's really easy and simple to start a shorts channel because you can tell smaller stories. You can create little series that may or may not do well without too much penalty. I mean, there's really no penalty with publishing anyway, unless you were to actually just publish the same video over and over again, which is not okay to do. But again, the shorts are great because you can just experiment, and every day is like casting a new bait out in the ocean and just reeling in a little bit, seeing if you catch that big tuna. And sometimes you might not catch anything. Sometimes you'll get a small fish, but if you keep going, you'll eventually catch that big fish. With my shorts channel, I did it for 60 days straight. That was the experiment. Can I go 60 days daily? And I just committed to that. And around day 30, I was only getting a couple hundred views per day on these videos. Normally, if I was counting views, I would have given up. But I said, no, I'm going to go 60 days. I started to get faster, started to pay attention to what was working and what wasn't. Day 35, one of those videos hit 750,000 views, and then all the videos came up. And so, again, it takes time to learn, but if you just get in your own way, it's never going to happen. With longs, it does take a little bit longer to get to those stories and to unlock those things, but there's pros and cons, right? Growth happens faster on shorts. Monetization is much, much more fruitful on longs, but the two can work together as well.
And so it sounds like what I heard you say, though, if you were going to approach long form content and you were working 30 minutes a day, you would post about one video a week, and you would use these blocks of time every day to build out a strong video and try to ultimately aim for a video a week.
Correct. But also realizing that it's going to take several weeks before things start to happen. I might get lucky. We see some YouTubers who on their first video just somehow crack the code, and that's great. They've probably learned and they're applying, and that's fantastic. But the learning comes from doing. I think it was MKBHD who said his first 100 videos were for less than 100 subscribers. And that, when I interviewed him and he said that, it was like a breath of fresh air. Like, okay, I don't got to get it right on the first time. And it was after that 100th video that he had one that, like my shorts channel, surfaced and did really well for him.
What is the biggest time waster that you see new people creating YouTube content fall into?
I think overlearning. There's so much content out there from so many amazing YouTubers like yourself teaching YouTube. And, it's like, it reminds me of a couple colleagues I had back in my architecture days before I got laid off. This is back like in 08. I used to golf every Sunday out of my firm. And I had two friends who I golf with, Terry and George. Terry was like obsessed with golf. If you imagine his cubicle, stacks of golf magazine, he was putting at lunch on his little automatic putt returner thing, and he was just consuming so much golf channel. He was terrible at golf, right? And you could hear him when he was about to take a shot. He would mutter the next tip that he learned from that magazine that past week, and he was never consistent. Whereas George, you wouldn't know that he was really a golfer until you saw him golf, because he got coached. He didn't pay attention to all the new tactics and tips and techniques and new drivers that could, increase whatever. He just had his way. He was repetitive and consistent, and he just crushed us every single time. And I think when it comes to YouTube, a lot of us are like Terry. There are so many amazing pieces of content. We don't want to miss out on that next tip that may be the game changer. But the truth is, we live in a world now where there's so much info, it's actually overwhelming us. Our brains are not evolved to handle so much info. They're evolved to, when we see something that could be helpful, to take it. And back in the day when you and I started, information was valuable because it was scarce. Now it's everywhere, right? Remember Encyclopedia Britannicas?
Yes.
If you had an Encyclopedia Britannica, you were like upper class because you could afford information that other couldn't. Now, it's in our phones. We all have the access to the same information. It's like we're at a buffet line and we're just filling our plates. All the while, we're also getting force-fed from other algorithms that are putting food in our mouth. Like it's just like a diet. We're so tired. We're so obese with information now. The idea is, what is the next step? This is what I like to call the lean learning process. Figure out what your next step is. Learn just about that next step. Go do the thing, and then rinse and repeat. Trusting that there will be new information out there on steps 2, 4, 10. That information is going to be there. It's not going away. But focusing on your next step, learning about that, mastering it, and then unlocking that next step is the way to go. So for a YouTuber, find one mentor, Sean, learn his strategies, do it his way, and then take action. Hit publish. The data is what's going to help you more than you learning and reading every book and watching every video from every YouTuber about YouTube. It's just common sense now.
Yeah, I love this. This is, we were just talking about this because you have a new book coming out called Lean Learning, How to Achieve More by Learning Less. And this makes me think you're identifying like public enemy number 1 for creators right now. Too much information, inspiration overload, information overload. It reminds me when I went and got started in video, 2003 for my local church, the internet was just getting started with information. Online video and upload speeds wasn't super heavy. YouTube doesn't even start till 2005. We started a channel for my local church in 2007, and I never went to film school or anything. And so I was self-taught. I'm choosing the wrong frame rate. I'm trying to learn things. And I was ravenous for content on how to make video, how to edit, and none of it existed. I remember back in like around 2010, Tony Reali came out with this like 40-part YouTube series on how to shoot video with DSLRs. And it was like a game changer. The DSLR revolution's happening. But now things have flipped. Like there was an under amount of information, like people needed to learn new skills. Now there's this over amount of information. So you already kind of broke down these frameworks, but I do want to hit this a little bit deeper. Like in a 2025 world and beyond, small YouTubers are staying small because their 30 minutes a day or 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day is just going to overconsumption of information and not doing. But tell us a little bit more also about how then do we not just maybe reduce or waste time learning, but actually learn smart?
Yeah.
Because the fundamental gap between where creators listening to this, entrepreneurs listening to this, and where they want to go is they need to get the right information and they need to learn new skills.
Right.
But where do you get it? It's so overwhelming. So how do we learn in this year?
Yeah, nice. This is perfect. So there is a strategy I call in the book micro mastery. And this is something that I practice all the time. And for a YouTuber, it's actually pretty obvious. Instead of just continuously hitting publish and just hoping each video is better, pick one little part of the process. Let's say it's coming up with good titles, and literally just hyper focus on that. You're still going to create a video, and the rest of the video is still going to need help too. But if you hyper focus, for example, on the titles, and we know this because titles are extremely important, and hopefully you've learned this already. If you learn how to craft a great title and you focus on that for your next month's worth of videos, you're going to see some results. The retention still might be needing help, but you're focusing on that hyper sort of awareness of the title, and then it becomes second nature to you, and then it stacks on the next thing that you hyper focus on. It might be the hook. Okay, my next video, I'm going to nail the hook. So who's doing hooks really well? Let me learn all about hooks. Let me consume now, at this point, YouTube videos just about hooks. Let me read about hooks. Let me examine and uncover what's working. And then you implement that, you learn as you do, and You then stack that on top of the next thing and the next thing. This is micro mastery. When I started speaking on stage, and you know this, you've seen me speak on stage, and I do believe that I'm pretty good at speaking on stage, but it didn't happen just by going up on stage and just hoping I was better. I micro mastered how do I tell stories. I micro mastered where do I go on the stage and stand. I micro mastered what do I do with my hands. Like I'd literally go into a presentation and go, okay, I'm going to learn about what I should do with my hands today. So I just watched TED Talks. I watched other world-class speakers and just focus on the hands alone. And now I'm able to just naturally do with my hands what I believe and have learned to be great. So micro mastering is how you continually learn as you do the reps with purpose. It's the doing and the action that's going to help you learn. It's, you know, we're in this place now where we're confusing collection of information with creating. That's not creating. It's only confusing us. Like you said, the sort of junk sparks, as I call them, right? With so much inspiration out there, we have to put the blinders on. The hard thing is we have this FOMO that comes in. I think a lot of us know we shouldn't eat junk food, but we still eat it. A lot of us know we shouldn't consume all the information, but we still consume it.
Yes.
So what do? You have a little virtual or digital shoebox. I use Notion. A lot of other people use Evernote, whatever. If you come across a piece of content that does not relate to your next step now, put it aside in that little box. And your brain goes, okay, it's there when I need it. So you're comfortable now refocusing. 99% of the time, you're never even going to go back to it. It's just a tactic to help you get rid of FOMO. And it's a way for you to reaffirm, almost opt back into the thing that you've already said yes to and committed to.
Hey, we're about to get back into the podcast in just a second, but I have a question for you. Do you want to grow your personal brand this year? Do you need more leads and sales in your business? If the answer is yes, then right now is the best time to go all in on YouTube. Today's podcast is brought to you by thinkmasterclass.com, where you can get on-demand access to a 1-hour deep dive training revealing how to start and grow a profitable YouTube channel this year. For a limited time, you can get access to this on-demand class entirely for free, where you will learn the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when starting a YouTube channel, the new rules and changes that have been happening on YouTube and how you can use them to create an unfair advantage, and the exact strategy we use at Think Media to generate over 350,000 organic views every single day. The data is clear. 70% of viewers claim that YouTube makes them more aware of new brands. So don't wait any longer to start growing your brand and business with YouTube. Just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to this no-fluff, highly tactical, free on-demand training. That's thinkmasterclass.com. To be in the creator economy, you have to be creating. And the reason it's called creativity, not consumativity.
Exactly. Do the things while you're reading it. But yet we are just in this, condition that we've been conditioned to be in, which is from education, right? You read the full book, then you take a test on it. You read the whole textbook, and you have to write an essay about it. It's like, no, life is not like that. What's the next step? This is what I call it. The difference between just-in-time information and just-in-case information. The just-in-case is the killer. But again, let's not even worry about percentages. Just what's the next thing you need to do? Who's doing that well? And you can learn from them so you avoid the same mistakes. And then just do the thing and assess, and then, make it better the next time and iterate on that. That's literally it.
I think you're setting some people free, and I think people have different personality types. If you watch the YouTube version of this podcast, you can let us know in the comments. Are you the type of person who, if you start a book, you have to finish it? It's just the fact you started is I have to finish it before I start another one. Some people's personality is they got a whole pile of books and they'll read through it. So it's different personalities, but that's an interesting idea. Once you got the information you need, you can set it aside. Once you have what you need and enough to take action on, you could actually stop learning entirely until you hit the next roadblock.
Correct.
But it's a mindset shift, because we also do just want the just-in-case information. Let me finish the thing fully and take the test. But nothing's ultimately been created at that point.
The hard part is I don't know what's going to happen after, right? I need to know the full plan before I go. But if you look at a pie chart of all the things about anything, it's 100%. What you need to get started right now is a 2% sliver of that. And now, because we live in this world where we know we have the ability to find these resources, you just have to trust that those will be there when the time is right. For example, when I launched my very first business, helping architects pass an exam, this website still exists, by the way, greenexamacademy.com. I wrote a study guide. I didn't know how I was going to sell it. I didn't know how to format it. I've never written a book before, but I took it in steps. Step one, I just took out Microsoft Word and wrote it because I knew that I wouldn't even need to worry about selling the thing until I had the book done. So once I wrote the manuscript in Microsoft Word, I was like, okay, I have this thing. How do I make it look good? I don't know. Well, let's find people who've done it before. And this is back in 2008, before even all the information was available. I was still able to find out how to format a PDF file to make it look like a nice ebook. Okay, cool. I got the ebook now. How do I sell this thing? I don't know. Well, let's go to people who have sold things before. And I was in a mastermind group. It was very simple. Hey, I have this PDF file ready to sell it. How do I do this? Oh, PayPal, ejunkie.com. If you remember eJunkie.
Yeah.
Now there's like, Samcart, Gumroad, whatever. And then I got it done. And it's just like, the crazy thing about this is when I had that book and I didn't have the tools to sell it, I was determined to find the answer, because every day that I didn't find the answer was like a day that this thing wasn't for sale. I was more driven because of this versus what most people do is let me learn about this whole process and oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. There's no way I can do this. I have to do all these things. No, just do the next thing and do it well. Just like with the Switch Pod. We had never invented anything before, but we made a prototype out of cardboard because we knew we needed to get the shape right before anything. Then we 3D printed it. Then we gave it to you and Roberto Blake and a few others to hold it and tell us what was wrong with it or what they liked better. And we didn't know how to market it. And then we learned from people who had done Kickstarter before. It's just, that's it. Like, you can build it as you go. Those resources are there. And it is a huge mindset shift. You have to let go of the fact that you don't need to know all the things down the road. Just what's on this next, turn, and how do you make sure you don't take the turn too fast, or that there's not like a tiger hanging behind the bush over there. I don't know where you'd be with the tiger, but you know what I'm saying? Like, take it one step at a time, learn, go, repeat until you master that, and then move on to the next things.
Having this massive, what I'm taking away is have a massive inclination towards taking action, messy action, good enough for today. One of my favorite quotes, General Patton said, "A good plan violently executed today is much better than the perfect plan executed next week." And so good enough to put in some reps to get started. And the number one skill in a 2025 world and beyond when it comes to starting a YouTube channel, succeeding on YouTube, and then starting the next step, monetizing, building a business around it, all these different things, is not overthinking about a million steps, not getting a bunch of just in case information, but having just enough information to take action, implement it. You go, of course, into more details in your book, and we'll make sure everything's in the show notes. But I am curious, if you were to make a syllabus, knowing what you know now about YouTube, for the top skills that eventually make up, and I know it's kind of, I don't want it to be counterintuitive in this episode, like you don't go try to learn all these skills today, but if you're thinking about building out your skill tree, if we used a gamer analogy, and we want to level up, and as your skill tree is growing, what do you think is the skills/syllabus of a modern, successful content creator?
I love this question. How many points do I get for the skill tree that I get to allocate?
10.
10 points.
0, yeah. If you're a 10 out of 10 or you're a 1 and then it builds out, yeah.
I would put 8 points.
Oh, okay. I was going to say 10 per point, and it builds out. Like on a scale from 1 to 10, you need to be an 8 at this. You need to be so.
No, I was thinking I have 10 skill points to distribute. Here's where I would put them. That's what I thought you meant.
You have 25 skill points. Is that going to be hard math to do?
No.
Okay, 25 total skill points. You're going to weight them in different categories. Yeah. Okay.
I would put 15 into storytelling.
Woo!
That's going to give you the maximum leverage.
Yeah.
You could have crappy video quality, at least hopefully have good audio quality. That's more important.
Yeah.
Be courageous. Be bold. Take the move and just do it.
Monsters come. All you can do is scream. You were the last person to see the president alive. Did you kill him?
They will never see us coming.
Better?
Yes, better.
Style and substance. In the GMC Sierra. Or get 0.9% APR on these Sierra models. Or get over $5,300 total value.
Have good audio quality. That's more important.
Yeah.
And if you tell a good story, there's the retention, there's the emotional connection and the relationship building. And here's why I say this today. We are living in a world now where information isn't just abundant, but AI is coming, and it's going to level the playing field for anybody who just has information alone. It's how you package that information and connect with the person who's consuming it. And to me, storytelling is going to be the number one skill that everybody, not just YouTubers, but just people.
So can I go deeper on that though? If you're going to take 15 points, number one, I'm curious, would you broaden storytelling, charisma, communication skills, ability to connect, storytelling? What does that mean for someone that's just doing talking head videos? Or maybe you're suggesting that that's not good enough anymore, but for maybe also a lot of entrepreneurs, professionals, that of course, AI is going to bring better practical information than even you could. But if you're still going to get on camera, teach, you want to get leads and sales for your business, what do you mean by storytelling? Because you're on your Pokemon channel, retention, Ryan Trahan, like some of these other channels. But if we also kind of lean on the much broader, the education space, how would you define storytelling?
So I would say half of it is having a good idea.
Okay.
So coming up with a concept and an idea that has a start, middle, and end. It has a hero's journey, if you will. It has something that relates to the human at the root level, a human need or want or desire, right? When you look at my Pokemon channels, it's like, oh, Pokemon, like how many people could be interested in that? Many of my comments are like, I don't even care about Pokemon. I will watch all these videos to the end because it's about a hunt. It's about finding treasure. It's about the struggles that come along with that and the internal struggles. I mean, we go deep in the storytelling. So half of it would be used for coming up with a good idea, one that's worth even paying attention to. So that's 7.5 points. Let's go 3.5 points. So this takes us to 11 out of the 15 on character development, right? Relating to the audience, understanding who the audience is and why the story matters to them. Right? That's going to be really key. Because if the story isn't relevant, then nobody's going to pay attention.
Yep.
And then it's about the personality of yours coming through. That's what I would reserve the 4 remaining points for, is how can you bring you and what you uniquely have to offer into this story that you're telling, right? You don't have to be over-exaggerating like many other people might be. You just be you. But how can you find the best version of you to show up? So this might be like what you said earlier, charisma, but your charisma. Charisma doesn't always mean like suave or whatever. It just means like you're able to connect with people. And I think that all encompasses, as we break down, that 15 points for story. So I appreciate you getting into more detail about that.
We're going to build out all 25 points of this skill tree. 15 points are storytelling, but the dynamics of that have to do with character development, your personality, and then also the big idea, the hero's journey, or like the story arc. And I'm curious, how would you apply this, though, even more practically to a SPI video? You've got your Pokemon channel. If someone's not even interested in Pokemon, they sometimes find your content and like it because the storytelling's so good or it's interesting or it grabs their attention. But if someone's going to look for like information about traditional loans versus FHA loans, or they're going to look for information about the housing market, taxes, growing their business, personal development, and you bring it into pure education kind of business content. How does Pat Flynn think about crafting an SPI video in today's world in light of this storytelling framework if you're just going to be doing a talking head video?
Because you use your clients as the characters in this story. Right?
I wish I had a soundboard.
It sounded like a siren. So you agree with that?
Yeah.
I mean, you could just share the information. You need this money down. You need to do it in this amount of time, whatever. Or you can go, hey, this is Joe. He and his family have this. This is where they're coming from. And they're learning this about the San Diego housing market. It's not cheap. So I'm here to help serve them. So let's go on this journey together. Woo. I'm going to show them exactly what you need to know if you're coming and moving to San Diego, which areas have really good school districts, because I know that's important to these two. They got a 5 and a 2-year-old. They're about to go to school. So we want to make sure we plan for that. And they're planning on having another kid. Is it okay that I said that? Yeah, okay, cool. They're planning on having another one. I'm not going to get into too much detail about that, but we want to make sure there's enough space for their growing family. And if that sounds like you and you're interested, let's come on this journey.
Wow.
Right? Now you're hooked.
That's the new wave.
And you're going to learn the same information, but it's going to retain because you're now in referencing to somebody who's just like you as a viewer.
And they're going to have a connection with you. The content's more entertaining. This is going to take a little bit more information, a little bit more time and creativity, but the ROI is insane.
Completely.
Because the views, the breakthrough, the algorithm that happens, I mean, if this is going to attract leads, sales, prospects at a whole nother level. And it's going to set you apart from everybody else
who's just
dry information.
Chat GPTing a script. That's what's happening right now.
Jeez.
But you can't chat GPT your client and their real life story and find out that they're having a kid.
Yep, that's real. There's connection. You're bringing emotions into it. Super powerful. Okay. So that's how you would do it in any industry, business, B2B, B2C. Like, we have 15 points out of 25 that you're allocating of the skill tree that the modern content creator needs to build out. Storytelling is 15 of 25 points.
Hell yeah.
With a couple different elements on it, but we still have 10 points to distribute.
We do. If I was actually playing a game, I'd save them just in case some new characters, like if I'm solo leveling up, I want to, save that for later. Arise. I would allocate maybe 3 points to lighting.
Okay.
Like literally just lighting.
Yeah.
Because that's going to, like, no matter what camera you have, if you get the lighting right, it's going to look great. And so just understanding the basics of lighting, which you could, of course, get from Sean, would be great. So that leaves us with, 12 points? I would also reserve half of the 12 points, so 6, to building relationships in the space that you're in, connecting with other YouTubers and other creators, going into spaces where you can meet and talk and even try to form like a little community of people that you can run ideas off of. Because, I mean, we live in this world and it's an abundant world, but not everybody thinks that way. But if everybody did, everybody would be helping each other and everybody can grow together. We're not at a poker table, Sean, where if you win, that means I'm losing.
It's good.
We're at this table where there's just, the more that we serve this audience, the more chips just like come out of nowhere, right? For both of us, right? Yeah. And everybody can win. And that's what I truly believe. So I would reserve a lot of points to connecting with people, networking. A lot of people ask me a similar question is like, Pat, if you had $1,000 and you only had $1,000 to start with starting a business, what would you do with it? I would spend it on a plane ticket and a ticket to, I don't know, your event.
Yeah. That's a counterintuitive thought. And I know for some, now, what would you do is for somebody who's listening and they either, 1, money is the block, or 2, they got a couple of young kids, like kind of in a life situation where it's like getting on a plane, flying to an event. It's just somewhat challenging right now.
So I can speak to that first one for sure. Patrick Norton.
Yeah.
He came to your event and I think he volunteered for it.
Yes, true.
And he is now my producer at Deep Pocket Monster.
There you go.
That got him in the world. And he's killing it now for us.
So he got into my event for free from serving.
Yep. Volunteer.
Yep.
Help out, all those kinds of things go really a long way. And if you can't do that with the event coordinator, do it with somebody who you know is also coming to the event who's in that space too. Hey, you have this YouTube channel. I'm an up-and-comer. Let me be your video camera for the next day so you can focus and I can help create content for you. And you're just now in this space, right? That's what D-Rock did with Gary Vee. He filmed Ask Gary Vee, just kind of volunteered to be his film guy. And then we had a daily Gary Vee show for years. And now D-Rock's killing it, right? So that's a way that, you got to get creative with these things.
Okay.
Right? Now.
So I got to bring it back. We had, our score is getting a little messed up. It was 15 points on storytelling, 6 points on networking and community, 3 points on lighting. I think I was going out of 25, which means you only had 10 left, which means we only have 1 point left. But
I don't know what the math is. Maybe
this was the wrong thing to do in
math
real
skills
time,
should be
but
for that last
entertaining nonetheless. We're still building out a syllabus
We need a chart.
and a skill tree. And so, I mean, give me the final ones. Maybe we reorient the points, or maybe the final tally is 30 total points. But if we have lighting, we're going to events, we're connecting, we're networking, even if that's online, getting involved in the community. It also makes me think about one of my favorite books that every creator should read, Superfans, because it's kind of like the forgotten thing these days. Everyone's like, they want to grow fast. There's a lack of patience. And there's people I think are forgetting that like communities are built one view at a time. Connection is built everybody wants a million views, but if you get one real view, meaningful connection, you engage in the comments, they're transformed by the content, they really enjoy it. And you just do that every single day for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, communities build. And there's new rules to YouTube success, but some of that tried and true stuff is like, you look at anybody, they were grinding out the reps, not for months, but for years of connection. So the connection and community piece, but if there's a couple final lighting, I mean, audio, editing.
I mean, that's important. So I'd reserve a few points for that just to get the basics, right?
Yeah.
That's where the overlearning can really mess you up, right? Think of all of the buttons in Premiere that you could use to make whatever, VFX, everything. Do you need those things to tell the story? That's why stories are told. There are people who are doing just talking head videos who are killing it.
Yes.
With no effects.
Yes.
With one take.
Yeah.
So you don't need those things. They support the story that you're telling. And of course, every channel is different. I'm thinking of the clear value tax guy.
Yes.
He shows up during the pandemic and he's like angry at the government. And everybody can relate to that.
Yeah.
Like, where's my stim money? Where's it going to come? I don't know, but I'm pissed off too. And he's telling it. And now he's
got like his notes on a pile of paper.
Yeah.
He just kind of holds up and talks to the camera. A lot of times, one take, 8 minutes to 10 minutes to 12 minutes.
Yeah.
A couple 100,000 subscribers.
He could use some lighting skill points, but besides that, he's doing great.
Yeah.
And he's in his tie and he's just angry. And it's like, I can relate to that.
It's a good point of charisma too. He has his own style, his own vibe, but he's not like anybody else. He's just kind of being himself. He's being authentic.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's got like 1.3 million subs or something like that, right? And it's valuable information, but it's wrapped in the way that we can relate.
Motrin Dual Action with Tylenol. Motrin targets pain. Tylenol Plus. Motrin Dual Action with Tylenol.
So I want a new credit card to grow my credit. Now Experian can help me find credit cards with no ding decline. Now, these cards won't ding my credit if I'm not approved.
No ding?
No ding.
No ding?
Get the free Experian app today.
You might know Harbor Freight for affordability. What you might not know is performance and durability go right along with it. You see, we test, and then we test again. World-class engineering and rigorous testing to ensure our tools perform at the highest level and stand the test of time without testing your wallet. Now, it's time for you to put us to the test. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Telling these stories and providing the information. So editing, and I feel that just letting go of perfectionism, I don't know if that's a skill, but it feels like it has to be a skill because we kind of have to unlearn those things. Perfectionism is going to kill you, man.
I think that is a skill. I think that
like being okay with here's a phrase that I like that maybe you dig. I started using it and people have been responding to it. You got to be cringe before they binge.
You got to be cringe before they binge. Hey, I'm curious, ChatGPT,
like
what is it called to let go of perfectionism? If that was a skill and we were leveling up our characters, is it kind of like not being reckless, but taking risks? What would you say like the skill set of letting go of perfectionism is?
Yeah, letting go of perfectionism is definitely a skill. I'd say it's like building your resilience and adaptability stats. It's not about being reckless, but more about embracing imperfection, learning from mistakes, and taking risks. It's like leveling up your ability to move forward despite not having everything perfect. And that opens up room for creativity and growth.
What are your thoughts on ChatGPT right there?
Hell yeah. Hell Hell yeah. That's growth comes from doing, and it's again not being reckless, being smart. It's almost like you're driving, and at the edge of the road there's those rumble strips that kind of warn you when you're kind of veering off too much. Make sure those are in your life, and you have people and guidelines, but find joy in the finding part of all this. Like, you're going to find yourself through this, and your audience is going to find you only when you show up. Perfectionism is just an excuse. And trust me, I was a huge time perfectionist back in the day, because that's how I was conditioned. I'd come home with a 94% on my math test, and I'd spend the next freaking 4 hours with my dad working on the 6% that I got wrong, always feeling like I was a failure. I love you, Dad, by the way, but I still remember those days. Not okay.
Yeah.
Just count uploads. Right. And that's a big thing when it comes to the psyche around this, because if you base your success on how the algorithm feels about you that day, on these things that you can't necessarily control, I mean, you're giving up control of how you feel to a machine, versus you can control you showing up every day or every week. If you're going long form, you can control how you try to get a little bit better at the title this time. You can control how much deeper you go into the story that you're telling about your client this time. Those are the things that you can control. So if you do those things, let's say for 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, whatever, and you do them, you've won, no matter what the views say. And in most of the cases, because you've been encouraged to continue, you will start to see some results and lean into the things that do to get you even more.
It's so strong. Count uploads, not views.
Not views. Thank you, Alex Ketchum, for that.
As we land the plane, I got a couple other questions for you. And one of them is, you emphasize in the book the power of champions. How important is it when it comes to this journey of starting and growing a YouTube channel, starting and growing an online business, is finding the right mentors?
I mean, I'm looking at one right now. It's so important. You've helped me so much along the way, and I hope that I've been able to return the favor. You know?
Have.
There are three kinds of what I like to call champions in a person's life. Number one are your emotional champions. These are your friends, your spouse, your partner, your kids even can help. These are the people who may not know exactly what you're trying to do, but no matter what, they're there for you. It's important to have those in your life too. April, my wife, was so important in my life when I had gotten laid off. She was the one who helped me understand that no matter what, we were going to be okay and work through it together. And that was so important. Right? So that emotional champion. Then you need your peers and colleagues. That's like you and I. You know, we're both in this thing together. We're helping each other out. We're in it for each other and the greater good. And having those kinds of people in your life, mastermind groups, right? Coming to events and networking with people who are in the same space. Those people are important too, because they understand the language. They might not have the time to mentor you, but you guys can help each other out. And that's important. And then the third one, which is really, really important, is that personal mentor. Right, the person who you either pay or they are taking you under their wing, that one person who's already gone down the same path that you've wanted to go down, who's already made those mistakes, who can guide you through the tough terrain. That person becomes the person who can help you and hold you accountable. And it's the person you look up to who you don't want to let down, that on those tough days where you don't want to go and do the thing, you're going to do the thing because you know they're going to check in with you. Those are the people who, I mean, again, some combination of those three.
Yeah.
Can help you get to where you need to go. You cannot do this alone.
Yeah.
You have to get out of your chair and go to events or meet people in online communities and start to form even just one buddy to hold each other accountable with can be the game changer.
Man, that's so strong. You know, I would love for you to speak to this too, because this whole kind of like learning and online learning space has started. And if you have a skill that you want to attack, it's a superpower to have the power of champions, the way you put it, around you. I saw you put a video that actually got a ton of views, that like online courses are different now, that they've changed. And we've noticed the same. I still think online courses are incredible, but the completion rate, the stats are just real. People just have struggle actually consuming it, actually completing it, actually implementing the stuff. And so I don't even know if we talked about this, but we've launched at Think Media group coaching and one-on-one coaching. Capacity is tough because we're keeping the quality really strong. We got like 5 Think Media coaches, incredible individuals. And I'm curious, though, your thoughts on how things have changed. We're doing cohort stuff now as well, because it's not, this stuff is always going to be there. We're always going to need learning. We're always going to need to be learning, need to be skill building, but it's changing. Talk a little bit about that, because that video popped off for you.
Yeah, it did. You know, I used a more hookable title and beginning of saying
I forget
online
what it
courses
was.
are dead, basically.
Online courses are dead.
And they are, in the traditional sense of just putting information out there and making sales.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put you into it, number one, because people want to buy from individuals. They don't just buy the information anymore. They want to buy it from somebody who's taught it in a specific way. But more than that, we noticed that when we ran what we call our accelerators, which are sort of like cohort groups through our digital courses, they had a 3 times more likelihood of not just completing it, but actually getting success and building the thing too. 3 times more likely.
Yeah.
So we had to make a decision because, and a lot of creators won't do this, entrepreneurial creators, that is. We had to sacrifice a lot of income because we were still making sales with our online courses, which were being sold for hundreds of dollars each, and people were buying multiple. But when we saw the completion rate from these accelerator groups, we said, you know what, we got to bring the community together. Is there such a thing as community-powered courses? And that's what we've built. And so we have sacrificed that initial income to bring people into a monthly program on our end to hopefully get long-term value from us, right? Finishing these courses, then moving on to the next one, and then moving on to the next one. We grow with them, such that over time, if we do our job and step up and support these new entrepreneurs, then we'll actually make more revenue in the end.
Yes.
Not just from the beginning, but because we've actually delivered on that value we promised. And it's been so much more fulfilling. People have gotten much better results, and people have formed their own little groups even without us asking. I mean, we bring people together too in a more formal way, but people are starting to understand that there is so much power in connecting with others who are going through that same journey as you, or who are just a couple steps ahead.
Yeah, that's so strong. And we've been learning some of the same things, been watching what you're doing. It's one reason why we've implemented stuff. And it kind of, I mean, in a way, it doesn't feel like it's super new. It reminds me of like, you could buy a $7 or $14 video course for fitness and a couple meal plans and download it and then never watch it. You could pay for a monthly membership at, 24-hour fitness for $20, but you maybe never go. You then maybe get into a group and you start going to classes because you're like, okay, I'm going to show up for the group, and you start to go for classes. You pay even more. You hire a personal trainer. That's also where you get the most results. When you pay attention because you're like, there's a lot of money on the line. That actually happened for me when I was recovering from chronic pain in my shoulder. I hired a physical therapist. Paid him $5,000 for 6 months. I got some dry needling, plus some workouts, plus some massage, plus relearning even how my body was structured. But you better believe, after paying the $5,000, I went to the sessions too. Like my show up rate was like basically perfect. And I also then got the transformation. I've been on this healing journey. I'm being able to work out more and better because of really investing with somebody. So in a way, I think it's 2 things. It's kind of like always been true, but even more true in this information overload world. What did you say?
Yeah. I mean, a mentor or somebody you hire to help you removes all the noise around the thing that you're doing and just gets you to the exact things that you specifically, especially when it's like a coach like that. It's like, hey, Sean, your body is going through this. Here's the solution for you.
Yes.
Right. Now, as a creator, we like to reach a lot of people. So, of course, trying to relate that to everybody can be hard at times since everybody is different. However, finding what those things are that are the same for everybody and just speaking to principles can work really well. But that's how you then potentially get clients to come in and want that personal information from you.
So I think this is the final and maybe most important question and the most fierce debate on YouTube that I've maybe ever seen. And we're going to get that in just a second. But I do want to give a roll call to a few things. Number one, your book. I'm excited about it. Lean Learning.
Thanks, Sean.
We'll link this up in the description. How to Achieve More by Learning Less. Maybe one of the most important books to read. And I say that because everything you write's great, but like the world really has changed. This is the skill set. Public enemy number 1, distraction, overwhelm, information overwhelm. But you can't throw out learning altogether. So having a methodology, frameworks, and I'm very excited about that. That'll be linked in the show notes. Also, if you do want to learn a little bit more about our coaching, viralvideocoach.com. It's just an application. We only work with people that it's a good fit. We learn about you, and there's a chance to jump on the phone with us. We'll link that up in the show notes, or you can go to viralvideocoach.com. And then, Pat, I've got one more question for you, but give us a roll call. If we want to connect with you in social, where are you active? We're going to put it in the show notes.
Yeah, thank you. So at Pat Flynn, for all the business stuff on most socials, YouTube, Instagram, etc. Pretty active on X actually as well. But I know a lot of people are interested in the Pokemon stuff too. So Deep Pocket Monster on YouTube for the long form. And then my separate short channel is Short Pocket Monster, which I think is what this question is about, is it not?
Yes, yeah, we're about to get into that question. And I do also want to just give a few more free resources, which would simply be our past conversations. You've probably seen that Pat, he's an awesome strategist, humble, great dude, always has good information. I think we take it all the way back to either NAB or CES. We talked about email marketing and email lists.
Like blog world days.
Yeah. And you've been on the show a couple times and covering different topics. So just giving you some resources to follow up strategically. If it's the right thing for you to be learning right now, we'll make sure that there's clarity and it's all organized in the show notes for you, whether you listened on audio or video. And if you've loved this episode, it's always great to like, rate, share, review. But here's the debate. Shorts versus long form on YouTube. There has been many claims. Shorts destroy YouTube channels. Shorts will ruin your audience. Shorts are the way to YouTube stardom. Shorts are the only thing working now. Long form is dead. Short form is dead. Everyone's got an opinion, and I've covered this, but it's always a new world. And the algorithm shifting. YouTube is, we know this, they are committed to making this thing work. They're giving us different features. We can upload videos. We can go live. We can upload shorts. We can upload video podcasts. There's community tab. Now it's called posts. They're evolving that whole experience. So what have you learned? We're recording time right now. It is March 2025. I'm sitting with a YouTube expert that's gotten over 2 billion shorts views, but also grown a long form channel to 1 million subscribers, multiple other channels to hundreds of thousands that got silver play buttons. So this isn't just fluff and theory, which a lot of people are out there just, some very minor experience. You're really deep. Shorts versus long form, Pat Flynn. What are your thoughts?
Yes.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great...
And by that, I mean, they both work.
Okay.
But they're not going to work if you try both at the same time.
Interesting.
I think you need to focus on one, master it, and then you can kind of unlock the next one. Now, every channel is different. There are podcasts, for example, who have long form videos, who then chop them up and then make them short form videos. And they all live on the same channel, and that's great.
And that, if we isolate that, this is sometimes where the debate comes in. That one is just a logical and clear format that it's that should be on the same channel because it's the same thing.
Right.
It's all the same, but there's different types of channels. So people are looking for a universal answer. But if you're a video podcaster and you have long form video podcasts, clips leading to the podcast, it's a pretty well-known format. So you're hitting that, but expand because there's different types of channels listening to this.
Right. So I'll use the Pokemon one, for example, right? We have Deep Pocket Monster, long form videos, challenges, trying to complete sets in 24 hours, 48 hours. Our videos are getting longer and longer. In fact, the one we published 3 days ago is 1 hour and 13 minutes.
It's a movie.
Basically.
Yeah.
And it was a month after our previous upload because it's taken time, about 150 hours of editing. And it's at 1 million views already after 3 days.
You just broke down some gold, though, too. People are out there, not that you have to do that to get 1 million views, but you just got 1 million views. In how many days?
3.
You got 1 million views in 3 days, but what went into it was how many days of shooting?
It was 1 day of shooting.
A full day of shooting,
1 day challenge.
150 hours of editing. How much cooking up? How many different titles do you think you brainstormed or thumbnails that you kind of packaged, even in experimenting before you dialed
I love that you're dissecting this. This one, we have a format for these challenges, so the titles are generally the same.
Okay.
Complete set in 1 day or 48 hours or 24 hours or in 2 hours or lose it all.
Okay, so proven format, though, because that also took some time. But now that you know it, you plug and play into a proven title format.
Mm-hmm. And then now we have the thumbnail, which is different. But
did you split test 3?
We split test 2.
Okay.
And we have a thumbnail person who we've hired to take photography. And in fact, this person lives in Canada. So we're on FaceTime. He's directing me what to do with the camera to get the right lighting. I have lighting at home and stuff. This is a little bit more advanced. I'm not going to, but he gets me in the right angle. I'm holding the binder up, making sure there's no reflections and all this stuff. We remove one of the cards out of the binder so he can put a question mark in there. I have a little ice light underneath me so it looks like the shelves from a card store are lighting my face. And then he superimposes a 3D kind of card shop.
Yep.
And it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's great.
But we're trying to be the best.
And you hit 1 million views.
And we hit 1 million views.
And it's a movie.
It is a movie.
It's over an hour, but it's also not done yet. You're continuing to build an asset of a media library on your YouTube channel.
And the videos are a part of a bigger universe that we have now. This is something we're recently discovering. We have recurring characters, certain shop owners that keep coming back, that people are starting to recognize. We have a storyline now. If you think of the channel like an anime, we have story arcs, like in One Piece, right? One Piece is over 1,000 episodes. It's ridiculous. But there's the Marineford arc. There's the other arcs. It's been a while since I've watched One Piece, but there's these mini stories with mini bosses that have mini challenges, and so they all kind of lead into this bigger goal, right? The goal at the end, the One Piece is real, is the ultimate goal. But throughout that, there's different challenges and there's different new people who come into the crew and all these things that kind of be a part of this world. We have the same thing now. I discovered this when I failed a challenge last year. There was a set called Pokemon 151. And I was trying to finish it in 151 minutes. I failed the first time, and I was like, oh, it's okay. We could do it again. Failed the second time. And again, these each fails are separate videos. And people were like, you got to finish. After the third time, and I finished, it was such a huge community win because they were on this ride with me. And we created this little 151 arc. And we're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What other arc can we create? Well, what's another goal that we've talked about? Well, trying to collect all 1,025 Pokemon across 9 generations. Well, that's going to take many videos. Okay, that's our next arc. Let's go generation by generation. We've had we did that in 8 videos because we combined a few. Gen 5 was filmed partly at your event because we went in between the things I had to do to card shops to try to finish it, and that's a 1 million+ view video in Vegas. Which has then inspired other cities to reach out to us and want us to visit their cities.
Dang.
To then go to card shops there and support the community, because we've had people then go to the same card shops that we went to. Anyway, we had that 1,025 Pokemon arc in separate videos, and then we ended up putting all those videos together into one video as sort of like an end of the year celebration, a 4-hour video, bro.
Yep, that's wild.
It has 2.5 million views.
That's crazy. That's a Lord of the Rings extended cut.
Yeah, and it is. And we cut out the middle parts to make it look like it was just all tying into each other, and we added a bonus ending that you had to kind of wait till the end for. And we even premiered it. And people were there for 4 hours watching with us straight during popcorn during Christmas break. Yes.
With Sour Patch straws.
65% of our audience is watching on a television on that channel.
Wow.
So that's longs.
So we're going to get back to, okay, so we're talking about shorts versus longs. But I actually want to highlight a point that every listener and content creator needs to know about in a 2025 world, and it's this idea of universe building. Now, I don't even know what that means, but it's one of the most important, I think, concepts in brand building right now. And so, hey, ChatGPT, I'm curious, what is universe building? If you were explaining it to content creators and entrepreneurs doing video that are building out their brands and their personal brands as a concept, and what are other terms for it?
Universe building is about creating a cohesive, immersive world around your brand or personal identity. For content creators and entrepreneurs, this means developing a recognizable and engaging environment that fans or customers can explore.
NASCAR on Prime!
Stream Nashville. It's on Prime.
Mom, where do hot sandwiches come from?
Oh, I got this. Hey, champ. So when our bread, meat, and cheese come together in our 500-degree ovens, they fall in love. About a minute or so later, out comes a beautiful and delicious rack sandwich. You get it, right?
Where did I come from?
Potbelly, we bring the hot.
It goes beyond just your products or videos to include consistent themes, aesthetics, and messages. Other terms for it might be world building, brand ecosystem, or brand universe. It helps establish a strong, memorable identity that resonates with your audience.
World building was the other one. World building, universe building. So we just blasted off something to research later for our Think Media podcast listeners. But we're talking about shorts versus longs.
Oh man, I want to go into that so bad because we have certain things in the culture of our brand now, certain phrases like bad binder behavior and certain characters that have come up.
Well, tell us this. If you're on the YouTube version and maybe you want to stop by and visit off of the audio, you listen on Spotify, drop in the comments if you'd want Pat Flynn to come back on and for us to do a deep dive episode on world building, universe building, personal brand building, all that kind of stuff, because we are talking about shorts versus longs.
Okay.
But I'd love to go deep. So let us know your feedback and any other questions you have, because I'd love to have you back on and explore that. But shorts versus longs. So what are you doing? How are you executing? And you did it on two different channels.
Two different channels. The general rule on YouTube is same audience, same channel. This I knew was going to be potentially a different kind of audience, because the person who's going to sit down on the couch with popcorn with their whole family and watch a 1 hour video is different from the person who's doom scrolling at night, just kind of trying to fill in time, or they're on the toilet, which I've called out my audience. I said, hey, if you're on the toilet right now, wash your hands. And like people are like, how did you know? Like, it's scary. Just that's a fun little engagement trick for anybody doing shorts. So I approached it like this. How can I create a show that is 60 seconds or less about Pokemon cards where I rip a pack every day and make it interesting enough for people to want to see the next days? So I came up with this concept called, should I open it or should I keep it sealed? Now, what's nice about the Pokemon cards is that a pack inherently has a mystery in it, right? You're not sure if you're going to get the good card or the bad card. So, of course, people stick around and watch that. But I'm not the first person to do pack openings on YouTube. I wanted to do it different. How do I turn it into a show? How do I lean into this mystery a little bit more? So I hired my friends at Music Radio Creative to create a jingle. Should I open it or should I keep it sealed? Total earworm. I have the original audio file that I sent them that I will never share with the world because it's just...
It was you, and they made it great.
They made it great.
I have to say, I just had a short recommended, actually either on Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, of a DJ at a set, like an EDM rave, with like thousands of people there who played your song. I was like, dude, that's your song? Yeah. And he had a pack on stage, and he was opening it on stage, and then that was going viral, which is all from you.
Right.
That's crazy.
It's insane. And then at the end, to lean into the sort of reward at the end again, if it's a bad card, I have a bad jingle. Oh, no, you should have kept it sealed.
Yeah.
Or if it's a good one, it's like, wow, you actually got something good. And I've hired the same person from this company, Music Radio Creative. Her name's Kim, the voice actress, to just say a bunch of bad things and then say a bunch of good things.
So
and
they're sort of different.
I have this library now. And again, now everybody's like, what's it going to be today? And I drop new ones and they're like, we unlocked a new voiceover today. And again, the sound effects that you see in these videos, they're just from a library. They took 45 minutes to create. I wanted to go daily for 60 days. I already told the story of how day 35, everything blew up. But it's the same template.
And now it's 2 billion
same
views.
Fonts. 2 billion views across platform.
How many subs?
How many what?
Subscribers.
1.35 on YouTube, 1.4 on TikTok.
Did you already get another gold play button?
I did.
So you have two gold play buttons?
2 gold play buttons. Now this one, I got it in 199 days.
You got a gold play button on YouTube in 199 days.
From a brand new channel, and I did not link to it from the other channel either.
Wow.
I did not. I wanted to just see what would happen.
Even though it was a Pokemon channel?
Yes.
I mean, there's people out there being like, don't share your YouTube channel with your mom or your friends because they're not your ideal audience. But like, you didn't share your Shorts channel with a Pokemon Longs channel.
Correct. Because I just wanted to see, could I have YouTube find those people for me, or all these other algorithms, TikTok.
And you've looked in the demographics, and it is different.
It is.
That's interesting.
It is. And it's just, you think about the consumption behavior. I mean, these are people who are doom scrolling through. Can I give them a little bit of something worth watching every single day? Now it's the same time every day. One of the most common comments I get now when I publish the shorts at 8:30 p.m. Pacific is, "Good night, everybody." So they're just waiting for it. It is a part of their nightly routine.
Wow.
This has led to that DJ
Yeah.
playing it. This has led to me getting invited by the Detroit Lions, who, by the way, their social media manager for TikTok is a big Pokemon fan. He connected with me. I got to fly out to Ford Field to watch the Vikings game on January 6th and open a pack on the field because of this. I got invited by the Major League Soccer team here in San Diego because a lot of their guys watch my videos. I just got a DM from one of the pro soccer football players from Team Argentina.
Jeez.
It's like crazy.
So Shorts channel, what I might take away here that's fascinating is, okay, if it's a video podcast and it's clips from the video podcast, that's one thing. If you're actually architecting something, though, you have a long form Pokemon channel that people are watching up to 4-hour long videos. 75% of people watch on their smart TVs. There's a particular audience. You have a vision to make something new, but it's different. And I love the constraints. And I think it's a huge viewer takeaway. It's a show, so it's a repeatable format. It's a show, under 60 seconds, similar sound effects, similar jingles, tapping into a proven tribe, bringing your own unique spin to everything, building it all out. But in the execution of that, you now have another gold play button, 2 billion views, Detroit Lions, DJs playing the song, showing you the power of shorts if you do it strategically.
Brand partnerships, ad revenue on top of that as well. It's unlocked a new revenue stream.
Yeah.
And
how much does YouTube pay you for 2 billion shorts views? Total channel revenue approximately.
Total channel revenue, I'd have to check, but we're at about on YouTube ad revenue.
Do you have it on your YouTube Studio app?
Yeah.
Let's check.
I could share. Now, I will say a lot of the money that I earn from this just goes right back into the
I'm sure it does. Well, yeah, I mean, again, and I mean, people listening to Think Media Podcast can handle it. It's not, I'm not even trying to say like it's all about the money.
No. And I just don't want to confuse like a quick way to make money is to create shorts on YouTube.
Well, yeah,
like
I mean,
the RPMs are.
You have RPMs are low, but you have editing, you have a bigger thing going on, you reinvest in your community. But I am curious.
But this is all me. I don't have any editor. It's me.
It's
editing.
only you.
And
the jingles and the people you pull the stuff in, how do you edit it?
ScreenFlow.
ScreenFlow on a MacBook.
Yeah.
So you edit a daily shorts show.
I edit 2 times a week. I take about 2 hours to edit a week's worth of shorts so I can get ahead.
Okay. And so you've gotten 2 billion shorts views, and this is how much you've made on YouTube.
2 billion cross-platform. Let's go lifetime on YouTube. We're at 750 million views. That's just on YouTube alone.
Cross-platform because you've got TikTok and other things. And they have creator programs as well and stuff.
Instagram, I think I've made 23 cents from a gift. That's it. Like there is no program.
Got you.
You have to be grandfathered into that. So it's still brand awareness though, you know? And now my stories are getting seen 150K times, which is ridiculous because then I can promote my event and other things. TikTok, however, I am generating revenue about $900 to $1,000 every week.
Every week.
So it's far less than
Okay, so the question here is, how much does YouTube pay you for 750 million views that you got on your new channel?
126K.
What? For only 750 million views?
Yeah.
That's great.
Some videos, this one
has
has
a 6-figure income.
It is. This one video with 20 million views has almost 4K revenue. Oh, it's just popping off right now, too.
That's really good. I mean, I think I got, and it's education. I think maybe I got 10,000. Yeah, 10. That's about, sounds like it tracks. I got 10 million views on a Think Media Podcast short, and it made $2,000. And so you're saying 20 million made about $4,000.
Yes. And then again, I'm taking that same video, posting it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Now here's the funny thing I'm doing. It's less than a minute on YouTube. It's like 59 and a half seconds. I got it down so I could edit it there. I know shorts can be longer than 3 minutes, but it's still kind of wonky right now when you upload one that's more than 60 seconds. I take that 59 and a half second video on YouTube. I re-export it from ScreenFlow with just the ending a little bit longer. So
because it has to be over a minute to
it has
make
to be
money on
over a
TikTok.
minute. So I am using technically a different video. I just, half rate the last part of it.
Yes.
Or whatever to extend it over a minute.
Okay, final question. That's very fascinating and inspiring because you have given us, if you create a show, you do something that works, it's repeatable, you're doing it, and you're doing it by yourself, which is so empowering because I guess, I don't think, Think Media podcast community makes many excuses because we don't really allow excuses here, right? We just get results. We have a rise and grind, new day, new opportunities. We're going to solve problems. But what I love you're doing here is because somebody could say, a critic could be like, well, now Pat's got momentum and he has people helping him. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't start there. But this thing that you're doing entirely by yourself. Creativity works best in constraints. And so you have a show, Shorts channel, it's blowing up, you're doing it by yourself, and then you're reinvesting those dollars back into your community. Very powerful. Give us a final checklist for how to determine if Shorts is right for me or not. If I want like views, leads, and sales in my business, personal trainer, real estate agent, maybe creator that's teaching something. I teach Excel, I teach some motherhood stuff. I have a DIY channel or homesteading channel. This kind of, how am I determining if I want to do shorts or long form?
Do it for 60 days and then assess whether or not it's worth doing more.
And do it on the same channel or a different channel?
It depends.
If it's the same, like you got
the same audience, just do it on the same channel. In most cases, that's the answer. If you can believe that they are for the same audience. I was purposefully doing this so that I could show people this can be done. I learned my way into this.
Okay.
And it's working. And then it's great because it's unlocking new revenue that I give a lot of cards away. I'm kind of Mr. Beasting in this space and just kind of giving away a lot of cards that people can't get access to thanks to successes like this. But try it out.
Try it out.
Like, what's the worst that can happen? Compare that to the best that can happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pat Flynn, I want to thank you for listening to today's episode of the Think Media Podcast. So much value. Pat, I want to thank you again. Like, rate, share, review, wherever you watch or listen. My name is Sean Cannell, your guide to building a profitable channel, and I cannot wait to connect with you in a future episode.
I want a ding on my good credit, so I'm using Experian to find cards with no ding decline. See these? They say no ding decline, which means if I get denied, my FICO score won't get a ding. Sounds good to me. Get the free Experian app now.
Searching for a reliable used sedan? Shop the area's best selection of affordable vehicles at unbeatable prices. Want a vehicle with low mileage? We have a wide selection in stock and ready for delivery. Buy with peace of mind with a multi-point inspection, a free vehicle history report, and a limited time warranty. Visit us online or stop by our dealership today to discover incredible savings across our entire inventory.
Hands down, that is the story of most of my clients. I watched some of your videos on YouTube. I liked you. I bought your course. Get the product out there, make some money. You can always improve upon it. You can watch all my videos on YouTube for free, and you'd probably become a really good guitar player, but it might take you 2 or 3 years. Or you could spend $297 in the next 6 months. You could do everything much quicker. The biggest thing I overlooked in the beginning was.
So if you've been thinking about packaging what you know into an online course that actually sells and generates income, then you're going to want to listen to the end of this episode. My guest today on the Think Media podcast is Lauren Bateman, and she has generated over $3 million in online course sales. She transformed her guitar teaching into a multi-million dollar online education business. And she's going to be talking about the exact strategies that she has learned from building, launching, and scaling online courses with her YouTube channel that have served people, transformed lives, and have transformed her life in the process. And so, Lauren, I'm curious, what was your first ever online course offering? When did you have the aha moment that you're like, I think I want to do this? And what year was that? And how did that process come about?
Yeah, I knew right from the get-go that I wanted to have some kind of product to offer people. So I uploaded my first video on YouTube. It was March 2017. I started filming my first course in July of that year. And I did most of the recording over the summer, and it was a smaller version of what my course is now. But I went to my studio, I recorded it, I came back, edited it, and I think I released it in November of that year. And I released it to 2 sales, which, hey, that was great for me at the time, but, it wasn't, a windfall of sales. But yeah, it was basically start YouTube, get a course, and start promoting it on the channel.
And give us the context. You mentioned that you had a studio, but you had a brick and mortar guitar studio. And what was your vision behind maybe wanting to get out of the day-to-day grind of being able to coach people, but having to do it in person?
Yeah. So, I originally started teaching one-on-one, and then I opened a bunch of brick and mortar businesses and had employees, and I was still teaching at the schools. And I'm like, I really, really enjoy the teaching process, but I didn't want to have to be tied down to a specific location. Having that freedom and flexibility was very, very important to me. So I was like, how can I do that? And I had the bright idea, okay, let me try YouTube. I've released some videos, started getting some views, started getting some comments and some questions. And I said, I should put some of this stuff into a course, because I realized, YouTube's very haphazard, and people will watch a video and then YouTube will suggest a video, but they're not sure if that video is right for them. Maybe that's too advanced for them. So I'm like, what if I put everything in a course and I put it in a step-by-step system for them to learn and play guitar? And that's exactly what I did.
Now, it might seem like you have an unfair advantage because you were already a guitar teacher. I would say that's a proven topic that people would want to actually pay for. But if someone's listening to this, they want to launch an online course, how would you encourage them to try to validate their idea so that they don't create a course or package something into a course that won't actually sell, or that people are not interested in actually paying for?
Yeah, that's a big mistake that a lot of people make. They release a course and it's crickets. And part of the reason it was crickets for me was because I didn't have a giant audience yet. But what I would do, and this is what when I coach and I work with people, what I tell them to do is go find a Facebook group. Okay, go find a Facebook group, beginner guitar group, how to lose weight group, whatever your expertise is, and just go in the comments and see the questions people are asking. Because most of the time, there's going to be a theme, or the questions are going to be very, very similar. And you can start seeing what the common problems are that your client or your potential client would have. And then you'd ask yourself, well, can I create a course around this problem? So remember, courses is helping people get a transformation. You're taking them from point A to maybe point C or point D. You're trying to help them move through this problem and come out on the other side feeling like they've won. So that would be my biggest recommendation, is just do some research on what people are looking for.
And what was the name of your original course?
I think it was, beginner guitar course. Lauren Bateman's beginner guitar course. I wasn't good at making up names in the beginning.
That's great. But I mean, that's amazing. That's where you started. You got it out there. As you mentioned, you got 2 sales, right?
Yeah.
And then you've scaled up to there. I'm curious how you determine the scope, the course development process. I think that listeners to this can feel overwhelmed. Am I teaching, 10 years, 101, 201, 301, 401 of the topic? Where do I start? Where do I end? Where do I, determine how it should be structured? For you, what was your course development process early on?
Yeah, so the first version of my course was basically, what would I teach someone in the first 3 months of coming into my studio? So the goal was to teach them some simple chords, some simple strumming patterns, to go through to feel
when thinking about, I've heard one person put it this way, if you only actually had, if you want to make a mini course, if you only had a day to spend with a person, or actually, if you only had a week to spend with a person, or you only had a day to spend with a person, or you only had an hour to spend with a person. And one of the ways that you can market and sell a course is masterclass or webinars. We'll do those at Think Media. Maybe many listeners have watched one where I will take an hour to teach as much as I can in an hour. And that leads then to, well, I have a whole course on that because what I would teach in an hour, maybe that's the free thing. Punchline is thinking about a time limitation, because no matter what it is, there's only going to be, as much as I can teach in a day or a week or a 30-day transformation, 60-day, 90-day transformation. That is incredibly insightful. Any other thoughts on course development and maybe mistakes you made early on that now that you've reworked it and improved it, that you wish you knew back when you started?
Yeah, I mean, going back to that time perspective is, like I mentioned earlier, I kept adding to the course as people were having more problems. And eventually I got this giant course that just took people too long to get through. So we're actually going back and reworking the course so people can work through this a little bit quicker. We're kind of going to split it into two separate courses, kind of like the beginner and then like the late beginner course. So that was kind of a mistake. In the beginning, you're like, I have to give so much value, I have to give so much content, but there could be a point where you give too much. So keep that in mind. And that's why, speaking to what Sean said, the time limit thing is a very good framework to work inside of. And also understanding that, it's going to be frustrating the first time you make a course. And I love the idea of a mini course. That's what I tell people to do. I'm like, just make a course that's really short because, your mic's not going to work or your lighting's not going to be good or you're still learning your camera settings. Like you're going to make so many mistakes in those first 10 videos. Make those mistakes and then you can make something that's bigger. So for me, my biggest mistakes were the lighting and the audio wasn't greatest on like the first iteration of my course. But eventually those are things you can upgrade. So as long as the content is great, content is king, you should do pretty good.
This also reminds me of what can hold a lot of us back, which is wanting the course to be perfect. And you mentioned kind of it being a mistake, but to me, it actually seems like it's more of the process. And I think that's been our journey as well. You started and you got your product to market, and then you started to get feedback and you started to get questions, and then you started to improve it. And to this day, you're still improving it. That's really a never-ending process. If you've never heard of the concept Ship It, Think Media Podcast, and that's SHIP, Ship It. It's a business mindset that prioritizes action, execution, iteration, and really launching your project, even though it's not flawless. The idea of done is better than perfect and speed is greater than stalling. The famous story is Xbox. When the original Xbox was coming out, they had major competition. They were going up against Sony's PlayStation, Nintendo. Microsoft had never created a gaming console before. And they ultimately knew they had to get the product out the door. Ship it doesn't mean sloppy, but it means build fast, learn faster, and refine as you go. And when they rushed their hardware to market, they ran into a bunch of issues. There were software bugs and crashes. There was a limited game library. They had a built-in trust. They actually lost billions of dollars. They lost money. Every console they sold was actually a loss leader. But you fast forward to today, where's Xbox now? Bottom line is, as you listen to this episode, thinking about launching your own.
Share your extra. Worship them with Sheba Selections fillets.
Everyone said to go to a traditional university to get my master's, but I chose WGU. Their online healthcare degrees are nationally recognized and accredited, so I know I'll be graduating from a program that employers respect. Learn more at wgu.edu.
Since 1983, Nissan has been assembling award-winning vehicles for you, right here in America. And now we've lowered MSRP on our best-selling Rogue and Pathfinder.
Get 0% APR for 60 months on Pathfinder. to take the next step with Entivio? Then it's time to talk to your healthcare provider. With Entivio, you may be able to pay as little as $5 per dose. Plus, our team can help connect you with additional support programs. Entivio.
Is as you listen to this episode, thinking about launching your own online course, not sloppy, because I think some people take this to the extreme and they put out a product that shouldn't be released. But I do think perfectionism holds a lot of people back. And the powerful thing about getting your product to market is then you can improve it, learn along the way, create different versions. Lauren, talk about that process, if there's any other thoughts you have on just, you've built a multi-million-dollar course selling business. What was your propensity to take massive action, but then improve all the different things along the way? And maybe not just the course, the systems, fulfillment, customer service. What have you had to learn along the way?
Yeah, I mean, and speaking to not being a perfectionist, if you wait for the perfect product, it might take you so long to develop this product. It takes so long to actually make money off of it. So get the product out there, make some money. You can always improve upon it. And as you sell more and you get more customers, the bigger your business is, the bigger your problems get. I couldn't answer all the emails in the beginning. I was handling all, the password resets and the customer service issues. And then I was like, okay, this is getting a little bit hectic. And this was around the time I hired my editor. And I said, well, I have this editor. Maybe he can also help me, when he has some extra time with doing some of the customer service stuff. So then I started learning how to outsource, manage a team to help me run this business on the back end. And again, a big thing I always did, I always went to the clients and being like, what do you want next? So when I made my second course, I did a survey and I said, here's all the topics that I would love to teach you guys about. Which one do you want next? And it ended up being a finger picking course. They really, really wanted to dive deep on finger picking. And I said, okay, perfect. So that was the next course I made. So I had this initial course. And again, I was getting feedback on that, and we'd make notes and I'd be like, oh, I can add a video in here to kind of hit that problem. Or, we had an email follow-up sequence. It's like, maybe we just need to send people an email hitting this pain point or letting people know that this is a normal part of the process. But we were really big on listening to what our clients want. So as we kind of build out our product suite, we weren't just randomly picking at this, well, I think this is what people will want. No, we just went to the customer and we said, what do you want next? So I think that's very important, is not only getting feedback on how you can improve a product, but also going to your clients and just being like, what do you want? And giving it to them. It makes the process a lot easier.
What pricing strategies worked best for your course? And how did you decide what to price it initially? How have you figured out the process of maybe doing different payment plans or pricing in general? Are you ready to start your YouTube channel, but you don't know where to begin? Or have you been posting videos, but you're frustrated because you're just not getting the views and nobody is seeing them? For a limited time, you can get the #1 best-selling YouTube strategy book, YouTube Secrets, for free at ytsecrets.com. This book is the proven blueprint that has helped thousands of people go from 0 subscribers to a thriving channel. All I ask is that you pay shipping, and then I will mail you the brand new updated second edition of YouTube Secrets. And when you place your order today, there's a couple other super cool things that'll hook you up with. First, you're going to get instant access to a free deep dive masterclass where I will break down the exact strategy I'm currently using to generate over 120,000 views per day, every single day on YouTube, and generate over $100,000 per month on the platform, as well as the 3 biggest mistakes that most creators make when starting and trying to grow their channel. That class is free to watch instantly when you pick up this special offer. Now, you're also going to get my video series called The Perfect Video Recipe. One of the updated chapters in the second edition is titled The Perfect Video Recipe. It's actually a formula for how to structure YouTube videos to get maximum views and how to break through in the YouTube algorithm. This is the exact formula that readers of the book and our students are using to generate millions of views. And again, that'll just be included when you jump on this limited offer. Third, you're going to get access to our 1,000 Subs Club email newsletter, which delivers actionable weekly tips to your email inbox that will help you get to 1,000 subscribers fast. And we also do really cool weekly giveaways that includes lighting and microphones and YouTube equipment, plus software that will help you on your creator journey. But here's the thing, supplies are limited on this free book promotion. So if you want to grab this offer, go to ytsecrets.com right now and just place your order covering shipping, and I'll get this book in the mail to you right away.
I didn't know how to price a course. I didn't, I'd never made a course before. I didn't, and this is speaking to competition. And, I have lots of people in the guitar space who are selling guitar courses for $10, $20. And, I was like, man, I really don't want to sell my course for $20. There are a lot of people that had millions of subscribers, so they were playing the volume game. Well, I didn't have millions of subscribers. So I wanted to sell my course for substantially more than most people were charging for guitar courses. And I think I started off with the first iteration of my product was like $97, which was very cheap at the time. And we've kind of gone up and down on the pricing. For that flagship course now, we charge $297, which is a really nice sweet spot for a do-it-yourself course with not a lot of involvement from me. This means like they're not really interacting with me. There's not a lot of Q&A. And then eventually we started a community for people who wanted that Q&A, who wanted more of that interaction too, who wanted more access to me. So again, talking about as you grow your product suites, what do people want? Ways you can add different things. It's just crazy how everything goes from being so simple and then it can explode. But pricing wise, we stay around $297, which is a great price point. It's not $20, which a lot of people I get emails from people all the time. Well, so-and-so's charging $20. And I'm like, well, go buy so-and-so's product and course. Like, here's the testimonials. This works for people. And for us, we found that $297 price point works really well, and we sell a lot of courses.
And then you mentioned the community. Did you add that in, or do you have some kind of ongoing if they want to add on access to community?
Yeah, so when they buy the course, they get a free trial to the community. Initially, we just included it as part of the thing, but I was like, this is so valuable. I think people would pay for it. So we have a free trial that comes with the course. And then if people want to upgrade, it's $197 a year to be part of the community. I do Q&A in there once a month where people can ask me questions. I was just in there before we came on here, and I was in there answering people's questions, just saying hello, welcoming people. So there are some people who are going to want a little bit more than just, a do it on your own course.
Yeah. And what's interesting is I think this might be one of the most important parts of the conversation is like price has a lot to do with mindset. It has a lot to do with pricing psychology. And I think we oftentimes project maybe low value on our own education or our own course or our own thing that we're going to create. And we actually, I think the wrong thing to do is to let the market define what your pricing is. Like you said, just because somebody else has a $20 course, okay, that's great. Walmart has a $20 shirt. That's probably a great shirt. Somebody could buy it. Nordstrom has a $200 shirt. People pay for that as well. What's the difference? A lot of it's just psychology, but it's also transformation. I've learned that the transformations in the transaction, when I buy a $15 book on my health, which I've done, I have a trigger points book. I have some book about recovering. I haven't actually read the book. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't read it. I paid a personal trainer $5,000 and I showed up to every single session. So at the different levels, $20 says cheap, beginner, maybe low effort. $297 says serious transformation, professional instruction, deeper expertise. And the information could be similar, but people are also going to be connecting with you. That's the power of starting a YouTube channel is you're the person. It's just don't even worry about comparing yourself. They're following you. They've connected with you on your YouTube channel. You also attract more serious students. Dabblers will pay the lower amount. The things I dabble at, I got books on my shelf at the hobbies I've dabbled at that I have not done. But when you pay more, you get more committed people who show up. And then also I think pricing signals positioning. At the end of the day, not to compare it just to like high fashion or something, which can get kind of ridiculous at times, but nevertheless is true. Slap a logo. You could call it Nike. Slap a Nike logo on a shirt or shoes, and all of a sudden you're charging 10 or 20 times more for really the hard cost of the good is not any different, but that's positioning. And like you said, you're not, if your mindset's you're just selling a course.
Colgate Optic White's unique technology gives you a visibly brighter smile in just 3 days. Share your extra.
Gravity Defier for life. Imes for life. In your spacious La Quinta suite, your eyes could use a break. After a long day of seeing, things. But hey, free waffles always make you forget. Tonight, La Quinta. Tomorrow, you shine.
This year, I went to Men's Warehouse, so I'll have the best outfit.
Looks like we have a problem here.
You guys both mad.
You said you're not, if your mindset's you're just selling a course, I think you have a limited mindset. You're actually selling transformation. What would it be worth to transform from a casual, frustrated guitar player into a confident player? And people, I love that you said people, really what they want is outcomes, not hours. And we're learning that as well as we're reworking this next version of Video Reiki Academy. In today's world, with it being so busy, sometimes we also think, oh, I need to add more videos and more content and more to-dos. That's what would make the price go up. That's not actually true. People just want the outcome. And what's actually kind of funny is there's an old story, right, of the individual who had an issue with their computer and they couldn't get their computer to work. So they hired the tech, and the tech came over and went to the back of the computer, pulled out a screwdriver, turned the screw a ½ inch, fixed the computer, and then charged the person $200. And they said, $200? All you did was turn the screw or replaced a screw. And they're like, why is it $200? And they're like, well, it's 50 cents for the screw. And it's $199.50 for knowing which screw to turn. Funny story, that's probably not even true, but it illustrates the point, right, of like, that specialized knowledge, but it's the result. If my computer doesn't work, I just had to do plumbing twice in a row in a week. I had to fix the toilet and then another leak. And my friend Anthony was like, yeah, a weekend of rolling up your sleeves and doing it yourself, you probably could have saved, I paid $1,200 to replace the toilet, and I could have done it myself for $200. Although what my friend Anthony didn't know is I actually couldn't have done it myself because my skill, he's like, you could have. I'm like, nah, bro, actually, I'm kind of handy, but like not really, not at that level. But here's the bottom line, like the specialization, if I would have done it, probably would have been leaking again. What am I after? Just wanting to encourage listeners that they probably should raise their prices. You probably should go up market, because when you charge even higher, you're going to attract better customers. You're going to get more commitment. It's going to lead to more results for the individuals. A lot of these things are pricing psychology. Lauren, any other thoughts on that one as we keep it moving?
Yeah, and remember, sometimes, people will pay more money for just saving time. I mean, that's a big part of our marketing because a lot of our people are coming from YouTube. And I mentioned it earlier. I'm like, hey, you're haphazardly learning to play guitar, and you could spend years, you can watch all the free YouTube videos. You can watch all my videos on YouTube for free, and you'd probably become a really good guitar player, but it might take you 2 or 3 years. Or you could spend $297 in the next 6 months. You could do everything much quicker. So don't forget that people are also, they're paying for the value, they're paying for the transformation, but they're also paying to sometimes save time on what it would cost to get that end result.
Such a good point. I was just watching the first episode of the new Black Mirror, and I couldn't figure out why I had ads. And I was like, am I on the wrong? I was like, am I on the wrong Netflix, or is Netflix forcing ads on my premium account? And I couldn't do it manually, and I didn't want to go to my computer. Here's my point. Why would people, you just said it, pay for an online course where they could watch the information on YouTube? YouTube, the information's all spread out. Some of it's outdated. You also don't know who you could trust, who are you even following, and so that's the question we always ask with our online course for YouTube. We just say, do you value your time? Because if you have unlimited time, you could just search the web and search AI and search Google and watch YouTube, and eventually you'll get there. But smart people value their time, and they'll exchange money to shorten that learning curve. And there's no ads. Even more so, there's no distraction. You're not constantly introducing yourself in every video, and you've organized it. One of the people who's helped me with the online course is Shalene Johnson, gave me the illustration that the reason people pay for an online course is it's like baking a cake, but it's not just the recipe. It's the right steps in the right order, with the right temperature of the stove, with all of the right. And on YouTube, some videos are about the sprinkles. Oh, that's fancy. And you're like, oh, I love that. But if you're going to get all the right steps in all the right order, with do this first, do this second, all in one place, no ads interrupting your Hulu or Netflix experience or YouTube experience, and being able to watch it in a linear fashion, smart people will pay for that. And some people will never buy an online course. You would have never reached them in the first place. Some people will never buy a book. You cannot actually sell a book to people who don't buy books. It's got to make sense. It's literally if they're never going to buy a book. But these are all limiting beliefs. But people who do invest in their education will happily exchange money for packaged information because they understand the power of it. So just thinking about who you're reaching. Hey, we're about to get back into the podcast in just a second, but I have a question for you. Do you want to grow your personal brand this year? Do you need more leads and sales in your business? If the answer is yes, then right now is the best time to go all in on YouTube. Today's podcast is brought to you by thinkmasterclass.com, where you can get on-demand access to a 1-hour deep dive training revealing how to start and grow a profitable YouTube channel this year. For a limited time, you can get access to this on-demand class entirely for free, where you will learn the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when starting a YouTube channel, the new rules and changes that have been happening on YouTube, and how you can use them to create an unfair advantage, and the exact strategy we use at Think Media to generate over 350,000 organic views every single day. The data is clear. 70% of viewers claim that YouTube makes them more aware of new brands. So don't wait any longer to start growing your brand and business with YouTube. Just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to this no-fluff, highly tactical, free on-demand training. That's thinkmasterclass.com. Here's the nitty-gritty. Platforms. When you started, where'd you host this thing? Talk about your business. Email, hosting, community. Have you moved? Do you like the platform you're on? Are you frustrated by it? Break some of this stuff down when people think about, where do I host my online course?
Yeah, so, when I was looking to host an online course, I'm like, bad mentality. Which one's the cheapest for me to get started with? And I ended up with Teachable because they had a very cheap starter package, but I didn't like their landing pages as much. The sales side and the marketing side of Teachable, I didn't enjoy as much. And, when I was taking courses, I started noticing, I'm like, I'm taking this course from this person. They're using Kajabi. I'm taking, I was taking a Grant Cardone course. I think he was using Kajabi. And I'm like, okay, if these big people are using Kajabi, I should probably also be using Kajabi. So then I had like 2 or 3 courses at the time. We rebuilt the platform in Kajabi. And the reason I like that, because I was using MailChimp, I had all these different things in different areas. And for me, simplicity in business is what I prefer. So I like having everything under one roof. My community is in Kajabi. And, let's hand it to Facebook. They're the kings of attention, and their groups and their communities are really great. They really are interactive. But what I found was happening, a lot of people were following me on Facebook, and they were intruding a lot into my personal time. It's very easy on Facebook, to message a creator, find out their personal brand. I know they've updated a lot of things, but I took things off of Kajabi, one, because I could automate the payments. I could create a subscription plan and automate when people were in the community, or we could remove them if they canceled their subscription or they no longer wanted to be a member, instead of someone manually going in and doing this. The email is all in Kajabi. We tag people depending, did they come from the free crash course? Did they come from our webinar? Did they buy a course? Or have they not bought yet? So there's a lot of cool things you can do in Kajabi, and I really do like their landing pages. I do think they're nice and pretty, and I think their website builder is really great. I don't really like it as a website platform. I use WordPress now. When I first started my website business, I used Squarespace. Was simple enough to build, and then we were looking for a little bit more functionality, some global templates and stuff that we could do. So a couple years ago, I revamped the website, and I had someone professionally build it out in WordPress. So that's the one thing I think Kajabi is, for SEO reasons, and I'm big on SEO. I think WordPress is a much better platform for hosting a website. But in terms of hosting landing pages, selling your courses, having your community, your email list, you can go very, very far with the Kajabi platform.
It's a really good recommendation, and I would affirm that, over the years recently we upgraded to HubSpot, which is ridiculous. And I mean, great, but it's a very expensive, just kind of higher level CRM, and absolutely not the right answer for a new creator or a starting creator. All things considered, and there's all, ClickFunnels has had highs and lows, and mostly lows lately. And High Level has come in, and there's Teachable and there's Thinkific. Really, Kajabi, I would agree with you, is just, if you overthink it, which 100% of people listening to this will overthink this. They'll research this for months, watch all these videos. Instead of overthinking it, pulling the trigger on Kajabi is a pretty smart move, and it will take you incredibly far. And I also like betting on companies that have a strong foundation, like a lot of developers, they're going to be here in the future. And I guess you don't know anything for sure, but Kajabi, I've met the newer CEO at VidCon, and I met the founders originally, and we spent time and been at their offices, and I think they have new offices now. Their future is bright. And so anyways, if you're thinking about pick one and pull the trigger. And one of my mentors says, scared money don't make money. So sometimes it's eventually you got to invest in these tools, and asking yourself what's the cheapest tool, I don't think is the best question. I think thinking about what tool is going to help you focus on what you need to focus on most, do the heavy lifting for you. So we'll link some resources in the description below for you. And I do believe through our link, you could get even 30 days free and some other perks and bonuses from Kajabi if you want to check that one out. And it can be all in one. But here's the other thing: it's painful to change, but that's just life. I think that holds too many people back in business. What if someday I have to change? Oh, you probably will. Well, what if it's really painful? It will be. Well, what if I don't do the right thing today and eventually I have to remake my course? No, you will. You cannot tear apart car. You start in business, you move fast, you get things out, and then you just know that you want to make the best educated decision today, but then eventually it's going to be okay to pivot later. I want to hear any other thoughts you have on that. And then in this final section, I do want to talk about actually selling the course, the power of YouTube, course launches, lessons you've learned. But any other thoughts about delivery, platforms, logistics, and encouragement for listeners, because this is the kind of stuff that stresses us all out.
No, and even to speak what you were saying, what happens if I have to change it? Well, hopefully, if you're building a business and you're growing a real business, by that point, hopefully you will have a team that will do all of the heavy lifting for you. When I changed over platform, I didn't change the platform. I basically told my assistant, I said, hey, we got to move these courses over to this platform. I did a little Loom video on here's how to upload the videos, here's how to create a course, and they built the platform for me. So if you're down the road, what if I have to change it? Just know, if you were on the right trajectory and you're treating YouTube like a business and you're selling a course, hopefully there's going to be some growth. Hopefully at some point you will have a team, and doing some of these changes won't give you the headaches, you think they will. And speaking to process and building a course, the biggest thing I overlooked in the beginning was building an email list. I make so much money off my mailing list now. And that was a component that I ignored for a very, very long time. So as you're building a business, even if you don't have a course yet, even if you don't have a product to sell, give something away for free. Start collecting those emails because there is so much money, there is so much value in an email list. Start building it from the get-go. Do not wait.
That's really good. And I do want to learn about building the email list is one way to sell. YouTube has been helpful with that, how you have sold your course. But I was reminded by when you're making a decision, what to name your course, which platform to host it on, all these decisions in business. And I want to hear in a second what you said eventually you're going to hire a team. I'm actually curious the stages. How much money did you make first? How long did it take? And then when did you delegate? Because this speaks to the fact where that might feel unbelievable to listeners, but it's like, that's the faith of being an entrepreneur. You're doing what you need to do today to get the thing moving, but then you got to level up. You got to delegate, you got to hire, and your life doesn't have to get crazy complex. It might be one VA, it might be an integrator that's helping you. It could be virtual. They might be all contractors. You could keep it lean. It doesn't have to, there's different ways of doing it. But I was reminded of the 70% rule from Jeff Bezos. And I think everybody listening could benefit from this. And it was this 70% is enough rule. And he actually shared this in his 2016 letter to Amazon shareholders. And most decisions should be made with about 70% of the information you wish you had. And what this means is that if you're waiting for feeling like it's perfect, the title's perfect, you pick the perfect software, you have the perfect outline, you'll never reach there. And if you wait until 90 to 100% of all the info or feeling all the confidence, you're going to have paralysis by analysis, missed opportunities, and slow decision-making, which kills momentum in fast-moving industries. Your competitors will lap you because you're just taking too long to execute. So if you've got 70%, and some people round down to even 60%, then that's enough. And then you want to ask, is the decision reversible or is it irreversible? Can you change your software later? It's a reversible decision. Can you change the name of your course? You might not want to because it's nice to stick with the name. There's SEO, but you can change some of these. These are not life-threatening decisions. Can you hire somebody and could you fire them? Or if they don't work out after a 30-day, you're just clear about that. 30 days, 90 days is a trial. These are reversible decisions. Now, some decisions are, if they're truly irreversible, then you might want to take longer. But so much stuff in business is about get enough of the information, pull the trigger, and then realize speed is going to be the cost of indecision is oftentimes infinitely higher than the cost of even making the wrong decision, because you can make another one. You just pivot later. So I hope that encourages individuals. Before we get into sales, take us back when you first sold those first couple of courses, but then eventually you said, well, today I didn't even migrate, my stuff. I had somebody on my team do it. I'm curious about the gap. What happened in that gap of, did you make $10,000, 6 figures? How much money until you started hiring, reinvesting, and then realizing you needed help?
Yeah, so I didn't make a change to hire someone. I think I've been doing YouTube for almost 3 years. I hired my first person in 2020. It was my editor, who I mentioned also did some customer service help for me as well at the time. And that was the first thing, because that was the most time-consuming process for me, was the editing. And if I could, because eventually I started spending more time editing, making things look nicer, putting in, picture-in-picture arrows, circles, diagrams to help people. It's a guitar video, so I wanted to make sure visually people could follow along with what I was doing on the screen. So my editing time did get longer as I got into my process of creating the YouTube videos. And that was a lot of time that I could reinvest myself into my business, either creating content, making more, courses for people to make more money, sending out some marketing emails. The best use of my time at that stage was not editing. And in terms of what was I making, I was probably only making a couple $1,000s consistently a month when I went to hire someone. So obviously we had the COVID month in April where I made like $16,000 in a single month, which is the most money I'd ever made in my life up until that point. But then, people went back to work, and once the COVID bump was over, I went back to making, maybe $2,000, $3,000 a month. So I invested that into getting an editor for 20 hours a week. And that's what my business coach was like, hey, get an editor and you're going to hire them for 20 hours a week. And I was like, I don't know if I have 20 hours of work. And he's like, well, when you're paying someone for 20 hours, you will find 20 hours of work for them to do. And he was right. And my editor still works for me to this day, 5 years later. And he's never missed a day of work. I've never had a day where he didn't have something to work on. So I think that also speaks, one, you're outsourcing, you're reinvesting in your business is the first thing. And when you reinvest in your business, it frees up your time as a creator to do the things that help you make more money in your business so that, you can maybe go hire an admin person, or you can hire another team member to, manage your community or do other things. And that's what we have done. I have 3 people who work for me now. And, I have the person who handles a lot of customer service. I kind of have my main admin who helps with, sales and touching base with customers and helping out in the community. And I have my editor who basically at this point just edits video constantly or makes graphics for us when needed. So I think those are important things to think about. One, do I have the money to invest in someone? Because I know for a lot of people, when you start making that money, it's so hard. You want to take it for yourself. Like you really want, you're like, oh, I'm finally making money. Even if it's only $1,000, $2,000, like those are life-changing dollar amounts for people. I don't want to underestimate that. But my recommendation, if you can, if you're really not struggling, you don't need that money, reinvest it in your business, because that's when you can put more of your time into doing the things that actually make more money for your business.
Such valuable wisdom. And I'm excited to talk about now as we get into this final section. Okay, we've planned out a course, we've made a course, and there's obviously such granular detail to this, but we're also talking about getting it to market, getting feedback on it, pick, Kajabi, whatever, 70% of information is all you need, make a decision, and you can prove as you go. But how do you sell the course? How do you market the course? Would you agree that YouTube is by far the number one platform that every course creator should be on?
Absolutely. And I can say that with 100% certainty because we survey every client who buys my courses and we say, hey, like, why did you buy now versus 3 months ago versus like, what influenced you to make a purchase today? And I will tell you, almost 100% of it's like, I watched you on YouTube and I really liked what you were doing on YouTube. And I went and I bought your course. And it speaks to what we were talking about earlier. You have people who have a problem. They're searching in YouTube to try and find the answer to this problem. And then they see you in this video and they've probably watched a bunch of videos haphazardly. And they're like, oh, I really like this Lauren person. People will tell me, like, I watched this person, I watched that person, but there was something about the way you taught that really spoke to me. And I watched a couple more of your videos. And when I realized that, like, I really liked what you were doing, I went over to your website and I bought your course. And hands down, that is the story of most of my clients. I watched some of your videos on YouTube. I liked you. I bought your course.
The mistake that 99% of course sellers make is they don't understand the 7-11-4 rule from Google. They run ads and they don't have any course sales. They make a few promotions, they get clicks to their website that sells their course or the landing page or their sales page, but they don't have any course sales. And the 7-11-4 rule is Google has revealed different numbers. It depends on the price point, but essentially that someone needs to spend 7 hours with you on 11 different touch points on 4 platforms before they make a purchase. And that's why YouTube is so powerful, because 7 hours, one, that speaks to the fact that your videos are 10 to 15 minutes. That means I'm going to watch 20, 30, 40 videos from you. But when you survey people, wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that's happened. And that's so much connection and trust building and relationship building that's happening because you committed to build a library on YouTube. So now the friction when they land on your landing page, that's what most people say. What's wrong with my sales page? What's wrong with the copy on my sales page? What's wrong with my ads? I'm saying you're looking at the wrong thing. You haven't spent 7 hours with somebody before they even made it to your sales page. And then 11 touch points, well, that could be one YouTube video, another YouTube video this week, the next week, or it's one Saturday, because a lot of individuals might be like, man, Lauren, she's so cool. They found you from searching, but then they looked in your library, and they could go all the way from not even knowing you to purchasing your course in the afternoon, because they might spend 3, 4, 5 hours with you in one day. And then for platforms, it also speaks to the holistic strategy of those platforms might be YouTube. Maybe they follow you on Instagram, or maybe it's YouTube. They go to your course website. They look at it. They don't even buy at that point, but they touch the website. They check out your main website. They get on your email list. They get a few emails. Those would then be emails a platform, websites a platform, course. So Google 7-11-4 rule, the math doesn't have to be perfect, because again, if you had a mini course that was $7, well, there's a lot of people that's an impulse buy. That is literally like a checkout line at a grocery store where I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I want some mints and a magazine and some Cheetos, spicy Cheetos, like my son Sean Bradley likes right now, even though they have red 40 and I'm a bad parent for letting him eat those. But forgive me, RFK. Like ultimately, niche references. Ultimately, it's thinking about the fact, well, impulse buy might not take as much of a deep impact, but your course, $297, our main program, a $1,000 program. This is one of the reasons why people build trust and YouTube is at the center of it all. And may I attack one other thing? Vertical video is cool. Shorts are cool. Reels are cool. But it's going to be tough to get to 7 hours on short form content. And not only that, a lot of us, even though we may have scrolled yesterday on Instagram or YouTube Shorts, I don't remember who I watched. I remember I maybe DMs some people, some stuff like that was funny. I don't know who the creator was. It is the content, but it's a different environment. It's humor. It's relational. We're not in the same mindset as YouTube. You're an educator. You're a guitar teacher. Stats reveal that people come to YouTube to learn something. The CMO of HubSpot said that YouTube subscribers are the most valuable subscribers on the internet, because those that are serious watching content like yours are there to learn something, and thus they're really pre-positioned to just joyfully be interested in the course that you're going to eventually offer. So I hope that listeners would consider YouTube as being the fundamental place that anybody that ever has a course, you currently do, you're thinking about creating one, build your YouTube influence, break it down. What's been your experience with that, Lauren? What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. And this is where YouTube gets very powerful. Because if you know who your audience are, you know their problems, you know their pain points, you can make videos around that. I have lots of videos. So my demographic is older adults over the age of 50 who want to learn to play guitar. And some of my top ranking videos, they might not have millions of views, but they're very demographic specific. It's the top mistakes you make when learning guitar over 50. Can you learn guitar over the age of 50? I put out a lot of these videos, and I get people like, I watched that video you made, because I'll talk about there are great guitar players out there, but they may not be great teachers. Or you may have learned with an in-person teacher before, and all they did was noodle in your lesson, or they were winging it. They didn't have any structure. So I talk about real pain points and real experiences that I know people had. One, because I was an in-person teacher, and two, because people tell me about those experiences when they buy my course. Like, I had this horrible in-person teacher, and there was no structure. They were more about playing what they wanted to in their lessons. So I make videos talking about these stories about my students. And then, at the end, I'll say, hey, if you have one of these bad experiences, you're looking for more structure and you enjoyed this video, go check out my course. So I use my YouTube videos as little sales pitches. I'm educational as well, because we want to give, we want to help people. But every one of my YouTube videos is a sales pitch for my brand, my products, and my services. I might not always do a direct pitch because YouTube doesn't like when you always send people away from their platform. So not every video is a dedicated sales pitch, but I do have some videos that are dedicated sales pitches. And I might briefly mention that I have a course, or we'll put a graphic on the screen that I have a course, little subliminal messaging. But literally every piece of content I have on YouTube is a billboard for my products and services. And what better way to get to know a brand than spend 15 minutes with them and say, wow, and maybe they're going to, like Sean said, they might spend a whole day with you because they go down that wormhole of like, well, this is next. Let me watch this. All right. So they're 5 or 6 videos in and they're like, you know what? I remember Lauren said she had a course. Let me go buy that now. So YouTube, hands down, the most powerful platform. And I agree with you 100%. You got to do the horizontal long form video. Shorts are great. You know, you can get in someone's feed, but the relationship is really built in that long form content.
Well, I have one final question for you, and it's about like the next 30 days. Like, what would my next few steps be? I want to commit to building an online course. First couple steps that I should do going out the gate. But if people want to connect with you, shout it out, and we'll link to your stuff in the show notes. And I also want to mention, in part 1 of our conversation, we talked all about YouTube, starting from scratch, growing the lessons you've learned, growing over 500,000 subscribers. And that has been the engine, over $3 million in course sales. Your YouTube channel, as you've just described, has been the engine for that. So even if you never create an online course, there's so many other ways to monetize on YouTube. If you've been thinking about starting, if you're on the fence, if you want to learn more information from Lauren, we'll link to part 1 of our conversation in the show notes. But Lauren, if you want to follow you, connect with you, where can they reach out?
Yeah, the best place to, connect with me and chit chat is to head on over to Instagram. My handle is the Lauren Bateman, THE, the Lauren Bateman. Shoot me a DM and I'll definitely get back to you over there.
Amazing. And my final question is, if we are, okay, I'm ready to create my first online course, what are my first couple steps? Like if it's you're starting from scratch with what you know today, and you're thinking about making progress on that course in the next 30 days, what would you do?
Yeah. So step 1, just do that simple research that I said. Go find a Facebook group, see what people are saying. What are the common questions? What are the common problems? And just write a list. You might not create a course to solve all of those problems. To solve all the problems is probably a bigger course in general, or it could be multiple courses. Find the theme and say, okay, is there a mini course? Like I was talking about earlier, is there a mini course or even a masterclass that you could give to solve this 1, 2, or maybe 3 quick little problems? And then package it in a course and let people know, like, hey, are you trying to learn guitar on YouTube, but you're feeling frustrated? Can you kind of play songs here and there, but you can't play through an entire full song? Well, go check out my 14-day guitar success program, where I'm going to show you how to go from point A to point B. And that's it. Keep it simple. Don't try to overcomplicate it. Do your research. Figure out, can I solve this problem in 5 to 10 videos? Don't go and make a 50, 60, 70 video course. You don't need that in the beginning, because now you got a course, you can test the market and you can get feedback from people so that you can make improvements and you can grow moving forward.
Such brilliant advice. Think Media Podcast. If you've got additional questions about this topic, I know if you're on audio, you'll need to come over to the YouTube version so you could drop us a comment. I am curious, would you like to learn more about this topic? Do you have any specific questions about online courses? Drop those in the comments, because I'd love to do some follow-up episodes and help in any way that I can and we can. Also, like, rate, review, or share wherever you watch or listen. So grateful for this Think Media Podcast community. Want to send you love and respect today. And thank you for making it this far. If you're here, you're a real one. You know that. Either one, you're multitasking and you're on headphones and you're like, I actually would switch the episode, but I'm taking the laundry out and I'm folding it right now. And you're already skipped off if you're on YouTube. But I will say, grateful you're here. Thanks for the love. My name is Sean Cannell, your guide to building a profitable YouTube channel, and we'll connect with you in a future episode.
Ziploc freezer bags' exclusive 9-point protection helps keep your stellar treats from becoming unidentified frozen objects. For the love of food, Ziploc.
SC Johnson.
Disney and Pixar's Elio, only in theaters June 20th. Rated PG.
Where regular brushes miss, Oral-B Electric hits for 100% cleaner teeth.
Doubled or like 10x'd their views just by writing new titles.
This expert has spent thousands of hours analyzing viral titles and the psychology behind getting clicks.
You know, the three kind of click-worthy emotions are fear, curiosity, and desire. And if you're really good at those three emotions, you know, you're well on your way to writing better titles, you know, growing your channel, because you're getting people's attention and getting them to click.
This is an essential episode. In fact, it might make or break your success on YouTube this year. Our guest today is Jake Thomas, who is a YouTube title nerd. He has actually analyzed more YouTube titles with extreme geeky precision, and ultimately is the creator of the Creator Hooks newsletter as well as software, and he can really explain to us how to write viral titles and why titles work. And so this is going to be a juicy episode. Jake, welcome back to the Think Media podcast.
Sean, thanks for having me, man. That was an awesome intro.
Well, I'm so grateful for you. Last time we talked in social media marketing world, you were wearing YouTube shorts, physically shorts with YouTube logos on them. The most genius marketing idea I've ever seen, and very entertaining for me. But I'm excited to dive into today's content. First off, you suggest this. You say actually never be original with your titles, but always model your titles off of previously successful videos. Can you elaborate on what that process looks like for you?
Yeah, of course. So a couple of years ago, I got my first YouTube job, and I was managing a channel, and I was horrible at titles, and I almost got fired because I was so bad at titles. And my boss is like, listen, this is the most important part of your job. And if you can't do this right, like, you're not going to be here. So like what I first did was I was like, all right, let me just try to write all these titles that I can think of. And they were always like lame, complicated, like super clickbaity, like hyperbolic. Just, I didn't really know what made a good title. And the thing that like clicked for me, and finally like I actually got good at writing titles, and we like tripled our subscribers, quadrupled our revenue, was I got out of my own head. I stopped trying to be original. All I did was find another title that worked, that was kind of similar, and just rewrite that for my video. So like I said, I didn't know what made a good title, but then when you kind of copy good titles literally thousands of times, and you'll finally figure out what works. But just looking at kind of adjacent channels or similar videos and just modeling those taught me what actually makes a good title and what makes people click.
So the big idea here was you could go to YouTube, and now there are all of these. YouTube is mature. There's such a huge library of content. There's a lot of content in, if you're listening to this, your niche. Someone's probably already making videos about your same topic, or saying adjacent. The meaning of adjacent would be you might have like a YouTube channel about plumbing, and somebody else might have a YouTube channel about construction, but a title that crushed on the plumbing channel. You're like, well, if I'm doing construction stuff, I could use that as a template, as a framework, as a formula. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. So we had a fishing company, we were a fishing company, and we had a fishing channel, and it's specifically saltwater fishing in the Southeast. So it's kind of niche. There were no other channels like us. Like, we were doing educational content, like we were doing entertainment vlogs. So it was very specific. We had we had no good competitors. So what I would do is like, I would go to a finance channel, and the title would be like 10 best credit cards of 2025. And I would write 10 best trout lures of 2025. And that's all I would do, just like kind of one for one. Like, this is, the number one trick to budgeting for beginners. Okay, the number one trick for catching redfish for beginners. And really just trying to find those adjacent or similar channels. And I look at kind of the same style. So you said like, plumbing and construction, we're like kind of talking head education. And so I would look for talking head educational videos, in finance, marketing, some makeup stuff, but really just like, channels, especially channels that are in competitive niches. So like, obviously if you have no competitors and your channel, your niche is really popular, like you can get away with crummy titles. But if you're in a competitive niche, you have to be really good to get views. So by going to those big competitive niches, if a video has a lot of views in there, like that's a pretty good sign that that's a good title and a good thumbnail.
In your opinion, do you think the average creator takes titles seriously enough?
I don't, judging by the amount of people who tell me that they slap a title on like right as they're uploading the video, I don't think so.
What do you think is the difference in view potential that just the title alone could make?
Potentially, hundreds, millions. Two like quick stories. So I wrote titles for it's like a real estate investing channel. And their content was kind of crummy. No offense to them, but it's real estate investing. Lots of money. They didn't need that many views. So before I started writing titles for them, they were getting about like 100 to like 500 views a video. I just started writing better titles, same exact content, like nothing changed about the content, just new titles. And we started getting like 1,000, like sometimes 5,000 views on a video. So like we doubled or like 5-10x their views just by writing new titles. So that was a very kind of simple win. And if you're a real estate investing channel and you double your views and you double your traffic, that's some serious money. And then another example, I had a kind of a faceless channel that was Little Experiment. It was in the dog niche, and I modeled another video that got about 1 million views. And it was the same topic, but I tried a new kind of title style, and that video got 7 million views. So, that was a difference of 6 million views for just a new title style. So having better titles could be huge for your channel. And it's just 5 to 10 words, right? It's just titles. I think titles are probably the highest leverage skill you can have, in online business.
I think you're exactly right. 99% of creators are underestimating how important titles are and missing out on exactly what you said. Without even improving or changing the content, they're missing out on 5x, 10x more views, 100 times more views just by mastering this skill. Hey, we're about to get back into the podcast in just a second, but I have a question for you. Do you want to grow your personal brand this year? Do you need more leads and sales in your business? If the answer is yes, then right now is the best time to go all in on YouTube. Today's podcast is brought to you by thinkmasterclass.com, where you can get on-demand access to a 1-hour deep dive training revealing how to start and grow a profitable YouTube channel this year. For a limited time, you can get access to this on-demand class entirely for free, where you will learn the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when starting a YouTube channel, the new rules and changes that have been happening on YouTube and how you can use them to create an unfair advantage, and the exact strategy we use at Think Media to generate over 350,000 organic views every single day. The data is clear. 70% of viewers claim that YouTube makes them more aware of new brands. So don't wait any longer to start growing your brand and business with YouTube. Just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to this no-fluff, highly tactical, free on-demand training. That's thinkmasterclass.com. So one of the things you recommend people do is they create a Dream 10 and a Model 10 list. Can you explain what those lists are and how they can help creators write better titles?
Yeah, definitely. So the Dream 10 is just pretty much your competitors. And I don't, so a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't want to steal my competitor's stuff. And I 100% agree. But from your Dream 10, and it doesn't have to be 10, it could be 3 or 4 or 5. I love to find topics from my competitors. I'll look at what's working for my channel. I'll look at what's working, for my Dream 10, for my couple of competitors. And I'm just looking for topics. I'm not looking for titles. Just like, all right, if a video is about, for example, finance, credit cards, like that's a good topic. Budgeting might be a good topic. You're looking for outlier videos. So, if one of my competitors, every video gets 10,000, 5,000, 7,000, 12,000, well, if one video gets 50,000, it's like, okay, that's an outlier, noted. I'll write that down and I'll ask myself, what is that topic? So you go through all of your competitors and your own channel, and you say, all right, what are the 5 to 10 topics that I see all the time? So boom, that's how you use your Dream 10, get your proven topics. And then for your Model 10, that's those adjacent channels that we looked at. It's just a list of channels that you look up to, that you like, and they're not your competitors. They're not talking about the same topic as you, but they're kind of adjacent. You like the way they do things, kind of most importantly, like you like their thumbnails, you like their titles, and we're, not to just get super meta in here, but you can use this for everything. Your scripts, your intros, your offers, your end screen CTAs. How do you do CTAs and ask people to subscribe? All that stuff. All that could be answered in your Dream 10 and your Model 10. But anyway, with the Model 10, I'm looking for frameworks. So again, I'm looking for outlier videos, and when I see an outlier video, I'm asking myself, all right, what got people to click here? What was the framework? Was it 10 tips to blank for beginners in 2024? Or was it, the number one thing I wish I knew before blank? Those would be some examples of frameworks. So you go through your Dream 10, you get your topics, go through your Model 10, you get your frameworks, and then you put those frameworks and topics together, and then you can come up with, essentially kind of unlimited ideas from just marrying proven topics with proven frameworks.
I think this is such an underrated approach. Pablo Picasso is famous for saying, good artists copy, great artists steal. And even Steve Jobs was later captured saying, listen, we're absolutely going to look at competitors, adjacent industries to pull the best ideas. And I think the word choice you used, frameworks, is very powerful, because we're not talking about copying word for word, and we're not talking about just mirroring everything, but it's a template. If they've created a winning template, top 10 list, maybe even how it's introed, how the stakes are raised in the hook, there's just so many things you can learn. And then you're plugging your own unique self, your own unique style. And I think even a key word here would be your own unique spin or remix to a proven framework. And would you also say, and maybe another word for frameworks could also be formats? And I mean, talking head is a format, a live stream is a format, a vlog maybe is a format, man on the street is a format.
Yeah, I would look for channels that make content in the same format as me. They have the same content style. If you're looking at spectacle channels and you're a talking head educational channel, it's not going to be that helpful. If you're looking at gaming videos and you're a makeup vlogger, it's just not. It's not as helpful.
Got you. And so on the one hand, maybe you could be inspired by a format you haven't tried, because perhaps you could go to the city that would be actually borrowing a format and be like, I'm going to actually try a man on the street.
Oh, there's nothing. We've got new bounty. It's 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less. And one sheet holds up better while ordinary brands fall apart.
It's good.
Get more done with one. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Want to take the next step with Entivio? Then it's time to talk to your healthcare provider. With Entivio, you may be able to pay as little as $5 per dose. Plus, our team can help connect you with additional support programs.
Entivio. Restore your engine to perform like new with all new Valvoline Restore and Protect. Another first from the original.
Actually borrowing a format and be like, I'm going to actually try a man on the street. But to your point, if you're like, wow, look at this spectacle YouTuber, they're getting all these views. Let me try their title, their thumbnail, but you just sit in your office. There's nothing near that level of spectacle. Then you're missing out on a key ingredient, which is the overall format and strategy of the video. That makes a lot of sense. You mentioned the importance of separating out traffic source when it comes to crafting your title. Can you help us, if we're new to how YouTube gives us views, maybe explain your favorite traffic sources and then explain how titles can tie into whether your video shows up in search or whether it maybe is suggested by the YouTube algorithm?
Yeah, so I have in the past kind of, it's a pendulum, right? I've gone on both sides of there. If you're going for search, there's fewer potential views typically. And like, especially if we're talking about like speed, like if you want to blow up a channel fast, ranking in search is often not the best way. However, if you want to make money, and if you get 10 views on your video, but you rank number 1 for best neighborhoods in Manhattan, you're probably going to make a ton of money, right? So it kind of depends on your business. Like, how do you monetize? Are you a faceless channel who's relying on AdSense? You probably don't want to make search videos because there's potentially fewer views. Or if you're a realtor, you might want to do a little bit more search, because if you can get in front of the right people who are searching for a new house, then that's a ton of money. So search versus browse depends on your business, and then also how you write titles. Kind of like your traffic source dictates how you write titles. So for instance, if you're trying to rank in search, people aren't searching for, or typically aren't really searching for 10 mistakes. Like, it's usually all positivity and desire and benefits in search. However, if you go on the homepage and you see, 10 mistakes to this, fear of messing up or just fear in general, it does a great job at kind of grabbing your attention and getting you to click. So I love using fear if I'm trying to, get on the YouTube homepage or the sidebar. But if I'm trying to do search, then it's usually just straight up benefits and really, understanding why my audience is searching. So, maybe if they're searching for best laptops, you're probably going to see 5 best laptops in 2024. Or 5 best laptops for students in 2024. So kind of analyzing what the top search results are can kind of give you some insight into, all right, who is searching? Why are they searching? What's the core benefit here? What types of videos are working well? And then you can kind of bake that into your content and your title and your thumbnail. And then it's kind of a little bit of a free-for-all if you're trying to get on the YouTube homepage. You just need to grab somebody's attention. You need to go hard on curiosity. Like, you really need to nail curiosity if you're trying to get on YouTube's homepage. Or you can have a huge, big desire that a lot of people want, or fear. The 3 kind of click-worthy emotions are fear, curiosity, and desire. And if you can get really good at those 3 emotions, you're well on your way to writing better titles and growing your channel because you're getting people's attention and getting them to click.
I want to drill down on this part. This is really powerful stuff. And if we're talking about getting discovered for search, what you're saying is if someone actually is quite literally going to type in a search term, they are about to purchase a new laptop, so they're researching laptops, or they're looking for top laptops of current year, best laptops, or how to lose weight, how to grow your YouTube channel. And they're probably not going to type, to your point. What are the biggest mistakes guys make when trying to talk to a girl for the first time? But now, if we step away from search and we step into browse, and they see a thumbnail and a title that says 7 mistakes that kill your chances of getting a second date, and they're like, oh man, that's fear. I want to get that second date. Or 7 mistakes content creators make that are killing their channel. Am I making these mistakes? And so it's less search-based, it's more desire-based. I'm curious, one of the things we've noticed is under browse, trying to get attention, is this idea of just total curiosity, total mystery, meaning this new YouTube feature is a game changer, and it has no revelation of what the new YouTube feature is. Now, that could be very powerful. We found that can work. One of the challenges we found, though, is also to the degree you do that, sometimes your content library becomes this generic pool of videos that are all just a bunch of curiosity titles, and sometimes just an interesting side quest, hard to maybe find or source or know what the video is about, because in essence, maybe the new YouTube feature is YouTube Shorts, but you don't want to reveal that, or the fact they're 3 minutes now. And so what do you feel like the tension of maybe a strategic creator bouncing between these 2 title styles, and playing with some of these open loops, but it doesn't really give you clarity. It's sort of, really trying to get the click, but yet once it, for the long tail of that video, it maybe doesn't make sense, and all of your videos could start sounding somewhat the same, or just a bunch of curiosity open loops. What are your thoughts about that tension?
I think I have potentially a controversial take on that. I'm a big fan of focus on pretty much almost everything that you do. Okay. So I think that many channels would be well off if they only focused on one of those traffic sources. Like, are you a search channel? Then just go so hard on search. Are you browse? Go, make no search videos. And there's a couple of reasons that I kind of like that approach. Is one, just think about the type of user that you're attracting. So if I bring in somebody who's searching for something, they might not, they're on YouTube for a specific reason. They want to find their solution. So they might not be interested in some other things, but and YouTube wants you to binge, or wants people to binge your channel. So if you have kind of a mix of like search and discovery type videos, if I find you via a discovery video, like, this new YouTube feature is a game changer, and then I go to your channel and it's like, how to write end screen call to actions to grow your channel. It's like, okay, well, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for YouTube growth. Or maybe it's just like this, how to, just a super in the weeds, video. I'm not going to click on that. It's not where my brain is at right now. So the type of user, might not be as likely to binge if there's, if there are different styles of videos. So, do you have any thoughts on that actually?
Well, I know it's a super interesting take. Here's another question. What do you think about changing titles? Browse for the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but if the video plateaus out, and then repositioning it maybe for search later.
Yeah, I think I like that. I like that strategy. It's kind of you got to see what's happening, right? But it also depends on, when you start the video, are people searching for this anyway? Because if people are not searching for that topic, then maybe it doesn't make sense to really write a searchable title, because they're not searching for it. So you might start off getting a ton of views, because it hit the algorithm and hit all your subscribers' homepage. But then it fizzles out. So you change it to a search topic or a search title, but then nobody was searching for that. So either way, it's dead in the water, right? There's
let's play a game. We talk about cameras, and we eventually maybe know the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II is going to be very searchable, and maybe the video is about the best camera for YouTube, and maybe a conviction is that is the answer. And eventually it would make sense, like best camera for YouTube this year, product name, pros, cons, something else. But during the launch of the video, perhaps we want to say, is this the best camera for YouTube? ? With a picture, with the thumbnail even being different with the camera and the question mark. So I would say this, it's going to be verifiably, there's going to be search later on, but perhaps for the launch of it, by revealing the product name and everything else, it'll do fine. But then people are like, yeah, I already know that, or I've been seeing about that, or I'll save to watch that later, as opposed to the sheer curiosity of what's on the other side of what is the best camera for YouTube. So in that particular case study, what are kind of your thoughts and strategies around that?
Yeah, I like it. I will tell you, I think I got hints of this opinion from some other people, and I'm like, okay, I think I agree with that. And I was looking at a couple channels, and I'm like, I like this theory. And then I looked at Think Media's channel, and I'm like, okay, I think I might be wrong here. So I looked at some of your competitors, and you guys were getting way more views than they were. And it's like, you know what? I bet that Think Media just has a massive backlog of searchable videos, and that is how they're winning. That is how they're doing better, because they have really nailed search. And I kind of found myself, when I was looking up camera stuff, I landed on Think Media, and when I was kind of making my setups, I binged your channels, because it was, and I only binged kind of that, only like YouTube studio setup, kind of that cluster. So so I don't know. You guys did an awesome job at refuting that example.
I got you. So people have to have real self-awareness about maybe their niche, even their capacity. Think Media has grown. Of course, I started, by myself, just making videos. But as you know, it's grown into more of a team effort and ability media company kind of scale so we can have a lot of volume. And I appreciate the kind words. That's an interesting observation. Of course, especially too, when you sometimes launch with search-based content, there might be somebody named Roblox22 in the comments that's like, why do you get no views on your new video? Because we'll just launch something very obscure. It gets 3,300 views, which you could almost say is embarrassing with a channel with 3 million subscribers. Then you might be like, hey, bro, I don't know if you check the back end, but Think Media is pumping 4, 5, 6 million views a month like clockwork. And so we're just planting seeds, playing the long game all the time. That's why our main program is called Video Ranking Academy. We're obsessed with search. And we are obsessed with both, though. I think that's the updated, we've re-recorded our program multiple times, is actually our holistic strategy is a search and suggested strategy. And that's kind of where I'm processing this with you, because I think it can be a dance, but I like the conversation because I don't, our particular channel is unique in that it's education. And obviously there's all kinds of different strategies and channels that, are trying. Any final thoughts on this conversation?
Also, the way you all monetize and the topics that you talk about also kind of lends you to be able to do that. If you are making, a lot of your stuff is about products, your reviews, and I bought a lot of the, I have a Rode mic here, a lot of the stuff that you all have reviewed in the past, I bought, and you all probably got a lot of commission for that. So in that case, so with my dog channel, I couldn't do that. It's just an entertainment dog channel, and and also it's just entertainment. So I know I'm just kind of rambling here, but it depends on your capacity to produce a lot of content like you all are doing. And I think it also depends on your goals and how you make money.
Yeah, so key. There's definitely distinct questions. What is your YouTube money plan? What's your bigger strategy? What's going to be best for you? Which kind of goes into this next question. You say that titles are more important than thumbnails for education channels. So for education channels, titles are actually more important than thumbnails. But for entertainment channels, it's the opposite. Thumbnails are more important than titles. Break down why that's your belief.
Yeah, so I think it kind of depends on the user. So if you're an entertainment channel, you are, you're probably not ranking in search, right? You're trying to stop people in their tracks on the homepage. Also, if you're an entertainment channel, you kind of want to show something entertaining. It's a lot kind of easier to show something crazy happening in a thumbnail if you're doing something crazy and if you're an entertainment channel. If you're an educational channel, people are a little bit, they're thinking more, right? They're more passive, more actively deciding what video they're going to watch. They don't want to waste their time, so they want to confirm that they want to watch your video when they read the title. The thumbnail might kind of grab their attention, but they're looking for education at that time. You need to kind of be hey, this is actually what you want to watch. This video is for you, and this video will kind of give you some benefit. Versus Mr. Beast is about to blow up a Lamborghini or something, and he shows that moment right before it blows up, and it's oh, I got to see that. It's just it's a little bit different in education, and you can just kind of make a better promise in your title. That it's oh shoot, you were going to get something awesome if you watch this video. And the easiest kind of best way to do that is with your titles.
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. StreamYard is our go-to platform here at Think Media for live streaming to Facebook and YouTube and for recording our video podcast. It has an incredibly easy to use interface for built-in branding, transitions, text lower thirds, and seamlessly bringing on guests. And they just added an an awesome new feature called local recording. This allows you to take the quality to another level by separating out your audio and video from your guests, giving you more control over your content for later use. This feature is perfect for video and podcast creators. And so to get a special deal on StreamYard right now and to see all the features that are included, just go to streamwiththink.com. That is streamwiththink.com. So the mindset of the viewer in entertainment, it's almost like you actually sit down on the couch, no clue what you want to watch. I'm just going to open the app and I'm looking for something to watch. So what grabs my attention? And you see this whistling diesel video with a Ferrari on fire in a cornfield. And you're like, what is that? Which I didn't even know who Whistling Diesel was until that video hit. And I got to say, it's a pretty fire video, literally. And I was like, and so that reached me, of course, because of algorithm of thumbnail, but it was a passive approach. That's me like trying to unwind, unplug. So it's an entirely different mindset. If I sit down, I'm thinking more, I'm actively deciding, I'm trying to solve a problem. If the title is actually maybe all 100 characters and it's like comprehensive guide for how to set up this piece of software, and then it tells you maybe even some additional keywords, you're like, yeah, that's like what I want. I don't want to waste my time. I don't also necessarily, if you apply the entertainment principle to it, it's like, I don't want some hype-filled approach to even this software. Even if the person's monotonous, I just am looking to solve the problem. So it's a very interesting. Am I hitting what you're describing here?
Yeah, I think so. You're proposing a solution in your, a solution, a benefit, a fear, a hope, whatever that is, in your title, and you're promising, it's like, hey, like this is what you're going to get out of this video, where it's a little bit more like wordy, whereas the Whistling Diesel video, like he's promising what he's going to get in this video with a Ferrari on fire, and that's it's easier to do with entertainment because you have something crazy, and then it's easier to do to make a big promise in education with your title, because you're describing what they're going to get.
Thumbnails versus titles, or rather how they work together to create a compelling package. How do you feel in general about including words in your thumbnail? And is there too many? Can your thumbnail be too busy?
So you might have to put this, on the screen, but when I think about titles and thumbnails, I think of that meme. I think it's D Wade throwing an alley-oop to LeBron, and like D Wade is like, oh, and like LeBron's in the background dunking, and it might be flopped, but I'm pretty sure it's D Wade to LeBron, and like that's how like titles and thumbnails like work together. Like it's a 1-2 punch. They're complementary. They're not the same. They're complementary. Working together to achieve a goal. So I love titles, but still, like, the thumbnail is incredibly important. I do love thumbnail text. I love complementary thumbnail text, kind of thinking like the 1-2 punch. I like to kind of, so I mentioned the three click-worthy emotions: curiosity, fear, and desire. I might have like, fear in the thumbnail and then curiosity in the title, or like, curiosity in the thumbnail and then desire in the title. So that's a kind of an easy way for you to think about different angles to, all right, what do I put in my thumbnail text? What do I put in my title? But yeah, love title, or love thumbnail text. I like to keep it short. 3, 4, 5, 6 words. It also depends on your niche, really. Podcast channels, they can get away with like more words. Entertainment channels usually, do fewer words. So like we mentioned the Dream 100 or the Dream 10 earlier, go look at your Dream 10, see, are they using thumbnails and their, words in their thumbnails? How many words are they using? Is it mostly text? Is it like, what's their style? And also doing that for the Model 10 as well, just kind of give you your answer, because it depends on every different channel. I do love A/B testing. I've A/B tested thumbnail text, no thumbnail text on the channels that I run. Thumbnail text wins every single time. Thumbnails with text. So that's how I've got my answer. And if you want that answer for your channel, you can also run that same test, and you'll get a great answer for your channel versus me just kind of, speaking here on a podcast.
Yeah, and I would recommend split test for yourself. There is an interesting trend at this exact moment, which is this anti-thumbnail, a little bit of like underproduced. And so we'll sometimes do kind of a design thumbnail, a text thumbnail, and then just me like mid-sentence with like my hand up. And that in some cases, paired with a really great title, is outperforming. But the cool thing about the YouTube split test feature is you kind of never know. And there's different trends and there's so many variables. So actually doing the split test. Do you also split test titles ever?
I do. I love split testing titles because, like, yes, you can optimize a current video, but you can also, as a title nerd, I have a lot of theories about titles, and I'll test my theories and be like, okay, I think that if I do this, then it will get more views.
How do you do it?
So, how do I A/B test? Thumbnailtest.com.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I've used TubeBuddy as well. They're kind of the same.
Yeah.
But I like them. Thumbnail Test has a few more options. But yeah, so I might think like, all right, maybe my audience really loves curiosity. I'll try to open up a loop. This is going to be a straight curiosity title, but also, I do know that they love desire. Like, I'll have a kind of a straight up kind of desire based title, and I'll test those two. Like, oh, curiosity actually worked really well here. For my next video, I might do the same thing, curiosity versus desire, and like, oh, curiosity won again here. Like, okay, maybe I need to rethink my strategy, and curiosity, I should start with curiosity. So that's one thing. Another thing that I've done in the past is I have included in my intro kind of a couple different topics, and then for my thumbnail or for my title test, I'll include a couple different titles. If they do similarly well, I'll just make another video using a different title. So that's a kind of a simple way for you to kind of pre-vet titles. Be like, okay, like I know that my audience will click this title. I'm gonna actually save this for another video, and I'm just gonna kind of include that. And maybe in like a month or two, I'm gonna do that again. And that's a kind of a fun way to de-risk your the odds that your video is gonna fail.
Well, help me understand. So would that maybe be like, in this video, I'm going to help you learn how to get views and subscribers, and then split test titles for how to get more views, or one for how to get more subscribers, and then whichever one wins, what would you do? Make another video?
Whichever one wins, I'll probably keep that one on this video. But it's like, all right, so my winner got an 8% click-through rate. The other one got a 7.5% click-through rate. It's like, okay, well, most of my titles get 6% click-through rate. I'm definitely going to use this one that got a 7.5% click-through rate on another video.
And so in a niche, like whether you're a dog channel or something else, what would be an example of how you would hook that? Of like 3 different topics, but that without it being too broad in the overall video.
So maybe it's a list. So in this specific example I'm talking about, it was a list. So let's say it's about like, basketball. It's like, the weirdest basketball plays that, the weirdest NBA plays in history, from, Michael Jordan getting his ankles broken to Larry Bird dunking on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to blah, blah, blah. And, and I'll list a third one. So maybe they're...
Colgate Optic White's unique technology gives you a visibly brighter smile in just 3 days.
For the love of food, Ziploc.
Get ready for Universal Epic Universe, featuring the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, and Super Nintendo World. Now open at Universal Orlando Resort. Tickets and packages on sale now at universalorlando.com.
Brunch. 90s brunch. In our 90s brunch. Get everything for every party on Amazon.
Life is more illegal than you think.
And LegalZoom is here to help. Whether it's registering a business, starting a will or trust, or staying on top of your business licenses. When you need a legal hand, turn to LegalZoom.
I'm kind of previewing 3 of the things in the list. I might have 3 titles for each of those 3 things in the list, and they're in the video. But then, if one of them does well, I'll keep that. If another one does pretty well, the second place video did pretty well, I might make a second video all about that second place thing.
This is an advanced level conversation, and we're about to even go deeper. So I would recommend listeners stick with us because it's about to get crazy. We're about to go even deeper in the matrix. But I also want to encourage listeners that there's kind of levels to the game, and just getting a little bit better at titles, just getting a little bit better before it's hard enough to write one, let alone software and split testing and multiple thumbnails and multiple different things. But this kind of just speaks to how crazy YouTube gets. And on this question, I do want to bring up, I'm curious your thoughts and opinions. Diary of a CEO revealed that they split test 3 different thumbnail facial concepts. Usually it's the interview guest on the video podcast with about 25 different text on thumbnails per face. And I'm guessing they don't do that on YouTube. I'm guessing they maybe do it somewhere else with a small ad budget or something, or maybe they do. I don't know how they would get that much data that quickly.
I'm pretty sure I've seen their Facebook ad library, a screenshot of their Facebook ad library. So they're running Facebook ads to that.
So, and already that's such a level. And I think Steve Bartlett revealed, he did an interview somewhere about how his $25 million a year empire, which frames that if you're not doing 7 figures, perhaps it's not that you would have to be doing that much, is the level of team and depth and help and whatever. The thing that's interesting though, is the fact that you take a channel like that, that's investing thousands, maybe millions of dollars in testing, and you can go to their channel and then see the results. So you can pull a lot of clues. One of the words I noticed on that channel is lying. They're lying to you. The government's lying to you. Doctors are lying to you. Your spouse is lying to you. You'll see lying. A lot of thumbnails. As a quote pulled out of the interview, they highlight the word lying. To your point, there's maybe 3 to 5 words in each of the thumbnails. Another one we'll look at is impact theory. And we saw the powerful word change, and we realized how that triggers the human brain. Because if we can't even help it as humans, we are scanning our environment to, if we wake up one day, if you take us back to more primitive times, we look around, we're okay, the kids are good. Look on the horizon. Well, it looks like it's going to be sunny. No big deal. Look around. Wife's okay. Cool. Now, if you wake up and you see footprints of a vicious beast that was in your camp, something changed. Okay. You look on the horizon and you see a storm coming. You're oh, it's that. What is that going to mean for me down the road? So when it's YouTube is changing, fitness is changing, changes are coming, and so I was man, they're using change in some of their most viewed videos. Changes are coming to the economy. We're about to get into some of your click triggers. I'm just curious your take on pro level title thumbnail game from maybe Diary of a CEO or others you've worked with, and lessons we could learn for where maybe those that are scaling their YouTube channel, envisioning the future, or even ready to play the game at a bigger level, what they could be learning from what the pros do.
Yeah, I do love change as well. I've got a list of some of my power words up here. Change is number 2. Change is so cool because it's vague, right? It's so open-ended. This water bottle has changed my life. It's okay, what changed? But also there's a lot of desire there. Yes, I want to change my life. I also want to know what changed. How did it change? There's so much. It's one word, but there's so much emotion and story implied by that one word, which is cool.
I gotta know the power words. At least give me the top 5.
Habits, and I will say that I have tested habits on some entertainment channels. They did horrible. But habits might be one. So in Creator Hook, my newsletter, I've got a database of 1,100 viral videos, and habits is one of the power words I see all the time. People love habits. They're so tangible. You know exactly what a habit is, and we like our kind of culture is like obsessed with habits. So habits change, stop. If you tell someone to stop doing a best practice, that's like, that uses negativity, curiosity, it's counterintuitive. Like, wait, why would I stop? Why would I stop doing this? It doesn't make any sense. It's also like a warning too. Always and every as well. Those just kind of make a video feel a little bit more epic. The one thing I always do before publishing a video. It's like, wait, okay, you always do this. Like, it must be pretty cool. Or like, I tried every YouTube idea software out there. Here's what I learned. It's like, okay, like this is a very comprehensive video. They tried every single one. So always and ever are two. And then only is also kind of the same thing. The only thing I do before publishing my YouTube videos. It's like, oh shoot, like, what is this? Only. And then like new and never. People love new things. Never also has a lot of emotion. The one thing I never do before publishing my YouTube video. It's like, oh, well, like, why would he never do this? Am I missing out on something? Like, am I actually doing this thing? So those are a couple power words that. That I've just been thinking about. I haven't made them official power words, but I'm on the lookout for them. They're on my watch list, and I take a note whenever I see them.
This just might be one of the most valuable Think Media podcasts we've ever published. And if you are getting value, it always is helpful to rate and review the podcast or like and leave a comment if you'd want Jake to be coming back in the future. I do want to hit some of these click triggers, but you got me inspired because I know you are you're a student, you're a learner, and you've been deep in kind of online marketing, communication, and copywriting for a long time. I am curious if you have any favorite books. We'll link those up in the show notes. Favorite books. I know there are some classic books, kind of like Power Words is a book, but some of them also, they're written maybe for people that are writing persuasive marketing copy, which ties into this. Is there any that maybe creators could benefit from if they want to get extra geeky? And any books in general that YouTube creators should read that are some of your favorites?
Yeah, I got 3 for you. The Adweek Guide to Copywriting. It's by Joe Sugarman. It's a really long title. It's Adweek Guide, it's something like that. But that's one of my favorite books. It's funny. I'm rereading it for I think maybe the 4th or 5th time, and he's talking about pretty much writing like editorials, ads, and I'm like, this is just YouTube. Like he's like, you need to like get right into it. Like somebody's gonna like they're gonna flip the page because he's talking about like ads and like catalogs, magazines. He's like, you need to grab their attention right away. You need to like instill like seeds of curiosity to keep them going. You need to have an image that grabs their attention and a little little blurb under that kind of like piques their curiosity even more. And I'm like, this book was written in like the 70s or the 80s, and it's just the same psychology. And he talks about kind of emotional things that grab people's attention. But yeah, that's one of my favorite books is that by Joe Sugarman. Cashvertising by Drew Whitman. It's another great book. And he talks about emotions and just like the psychology of what gets people's attention. That's a pretty short book, but it's an awesome one. And then the other one is Age of Propaganda by Andre Protkanis and somebody else, but it's Age of Propaganda. And those 3 books, I've probably read them 3, 4, or 5 times, and it's just psychology, which is the thing that I like to nerd out about the most is psychology and persuasion and getting people's attention. And those 3 books are perfect for anybody who is excited about YouTube titles and psychology, really just content marketing in general. Those 3 books will help you.
3 books every YouTube content creator should read: Adweek Guide to Copywriting, Cashvertising, and Age of Propaganda. And we'll of course link those up in the show notes. I actually am going to want to turn this into 2 parts if you've got the time. So I want to subscribe if you wanted to listen to part 2, because we're already 46 minutes into the convo. And I do want, though, to give a shout out to your stuff. If people want to connect with you, you have one of the most valuable newsletters, and we can link to that. But go ahead and describe that, as well as your software, whatever else, and we'll link it up in the show notes. So break it down.
Cool. Yeah. So you can find me on Twitter and LinkedIn at Jake Thomas. Just search Jake Thomas. You'll see a guy with a hat, a beard, and a golden retriever, and that is me. And then also creatorhooks.com. So we talked about like the Model 10 earlier, finding examples of successful titles outside of your niche. That's the newsletter is essentially like a done for you service of that. Like I'll send you 5 viral videos that did really well every single Monday morning. And then I'll kind of explain why they did well. And I'll share examples of how you could use that for, I'll kind of break down that format or that framework, and then examples of how you could use it for your channel. So that's a newsletter. And then I have a Creator Hooks Pro, which is just like kind of an automated, more personalized version of this. We've talked about click triggers and formats, and you can plug in your video topic and it will use all of those click triggers and formats to come up with video titles for you, to kind of help you kind of see things from a different angle and get the wheels spinning, and then see, oh cool, like this, these 10 titles are awesome for my video. I'm going to use this title for my, this one for my title, this one for my thumbnail text, and like this one's going to, inspire my intro and my subheads. So, yeah, creatorhooks.com is where you can learn about all that stuff.
And your newsletter is free.
Yes, newsletter's free.
It's a great deal. So check out show notes and resources in the show notes of the podcast. Like, rate, subscribe, share wherever you watch or listen. And really grateful for you being a part of our community. My name is Sean Cannell, your guide to building a profitable YouTube channel. And I can't wait to connect with you in a future episode.
Decide to step up to this kind of play, this kind of fun. This kind of experience.
Hey guys. Nice jacket, Paul.
Why are you dressed like you're in a boy band? Seriously? My Super NES commercial from the 90s with my long black duster, indie rock hair, and beaded necklace. Now we're playing with power. Come on.
Uncle Paul.
Lisa.
I can't wait to tell my class how I clowned you guys.
That's a lot of lip out of you, Lisa. Time for our thumbs to do the talking. Let the games begin. Lisa, how are you going that fast? You don't even have an actual driver's license. Let me show you a little something I learned in the 1900s. You can ride rails now. I'll be honest with you, that was purely accidental.
You boomers are cute, but you're gonna lose.
Don't be so sure, Lisa. I take tons of supplements.
She's on a wall. She's on a wall. Lisa, get down. You're not allowed to be up there. My head is a burger, and you know what that means? I don't exactly. It means something good.
Yes!
Lisa!
I'm gonna feel that tomorrow.
You know, guys, it's nice playing with power, but this is better because now we're playing together. Super together.
Uh-oh. Who's doing a voice?
Nintendo Switch 2. All together, anytime, anywhere.
So many things we will see that no one has ever seen.
The corporation's more powerful than any country. They must maintain dominance. That is why the Nautilus was developed.
I can taste freedom, Nico. It's now or never.
This is Nemo. We have taken control of the Nautilus. We'll use it to escape. Start the engine.
A submersible ship.
She is mine. I want her back.
If you're looking for someone to bring Nemo back in chains, I'm your man. You'll burn the whole damn company to the ground.
This man is holding me against my will. When will I be free?
If I had any choice in the matter, I would never set eyes on you again.
Oh, utterly charming.
Yes, Nemo. What did you make of him? He is a convict. He is a pirate.
Stubborn.
Brave.
Angry.
Nemo this, Nemo that. Could he be this? Is he that? Tell me. Where are they headed? The North
staircase passage. There are treasures there beyond the man's imagination.
You must take us all on board this
Submarine.
Exactly.
I'll see you hunted till the ends of the earth.
You'll be hunting in the wrong place.
Doesn't matter whether you chose to be here or not. All that matters is that we are each other's best hope. This is going to be such fun.
Is it possible to make money from old content on your channel? Our guest earned $44,000 from a single YouTube video last year that wasn't even new content. Can you break down what the strategy was, what you did, and explain this?
You know, kind of the common advice that a lot of people will give on YouTube is don't make your videos too long. Well, this video was almost 3 hours long. It is difficult, right, to find time for content creation in sort of these fringe hours that you have. When I started, it was really just out of passion. And that's what I always tell people is that if you're going to do YouTube, you're going to work probably for a while for free.
You reached monetization in 9 months while working full-time. What were some of maybe the early challenges and also the key decisions that accelerated your growth? In today's episode of the Think Media podcast, we're also going to be covering how to earn more money from your videos, specifically the RPM, and how to earn 3 to 4 times higher than the average rates. And she's going to be breaking down exactly how, and also going through her simple content strategy that has earned over $500,000 in 4 years. And she did all of this while working full-time as a nurse without any fancy or extra fancy gear. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about the essential mindset shifts for successful creators. Sometimes, whether it's negative comments, what other people may think, all of that can sometimes hold us back, and we will break through today on the podcast. Now, our guest, Jen, is a healthcare consultant by day and a YouTube powerhouse by night, who turned her passion for helping working moms into a channel with over 138,000 subscribers. Her practical cooking and lifestyle content has generated over $500,000 in just 4 years, all while maintaining her full-time career. From viral videos earning $44,000 in ad revenue to building a thriving community of working parents, Jen proves that with the right strategy, you can build a YouTube business alongside any career. Jen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to go right up to what everybody wants to know, and that's the $44,000 video strategy. So you posted a video that wasn't new content, earned that much money from a single video. Can you break down what the strategy was, what you did, and explain this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of just as surprised as you are or as anyone is. It was sort of an experiment, and it was kind of born out of me needing to get out a video and not really having a lot of time to film new content. And I had seen some other channels in my same sort of niche or space on YouTube making these compilation videos, right? So you take kind of one section of your cooking. In my case, it was budget meals. And I went back through all of my old content because I thought to myself, well, I've been doing YouTube for a long time. I have a lot of videos on my channel. And I think that a lot of times as creators, we think, well, if we posted a video 2 years ago, people have already seen that. But that's not true, right? Because you always have new people coming to your channel. And so what I was able to do is take a bunch of my old videos, kind of edit them and chop them up into one big mega compilation of budget cooking, right? Which was really big last year and the year before due to grocery prices and inflation and all of that. And you know, kind of the common advice that a lot of people will give on YouTube is don't make your videos too long. Well, this video was almost 3 hours long. And so I had no idea how it was going to be received, and it ended up just taking off. And so, really it was kind of out of necessity, but I also wanted to try something new that I hadn't tried before.
So did you change the edits at all? So to break it down, you went into your library, you looked at different videos you had done related to budget cooking. You threw them back into the timeline of a video editor? Do you edit your own videos?
I did at that time, yes.
And so what software were you using?
I use Power Director.
Okay, so you take your old YouTube videos, put them all in Power Director. Did you just leave them, or did you edit it up a little bit?
Yeah, I edited it up a little bit because a lot of those previous videos that I had done were sponsored videos. So I wanted to kind of take the sponsored portion out. And I also kind of listened through to see if there was anything that didn't really make sense. So I wouldn't say it was a huge amount of editing because obviously the content itself is already done. It's just kind of piecing it all together.
Okay, so minimal edit. Did you shoot any new content?
I think I shot an intro and an outro and the sponsored portion of the video, but that was it.
Nice. So the strategy for listeners is thinking about this idea of using compilations. We also have sometimes called these content marathons. We're launching a bunch of new ones right now because it's kind of logical, and I did the same. I shot new intros, new outros, new transitions, but there's a lot of times so much gold in our library that we can tap into. And go a little bit deeper here. This singular video earned $44,000. Like, why do you think that is? And that's such an extraordinary amount of money from a singular video. 3 hours is probably helpful because of multiple ad spots. But if you look behind the scenes, what are some of the things you're seeing?
Well, I think, first of all, it was me kind of taking advantage of a current trend, right? Or like, what is a current problem that people are looking to solve on YouTube? They're looking for cheap meals and inexpensive ideas that they can use to feed their family. And so I think that the topic itself was able to kind of launch it into the algorithm. Now, another thing I want to say is that it didn't take off right away, right? I think it took me a little over a year to reach 1 million views on that video, but it was slow and steady. And the great thing about that is that even now when I look in my YouTube analytics, I'm still